What's up, guys?
On this week's show,
Bird Box,
us,
and Best of the Year,
plus
Ask Us Anything.
All that and more on this episode
of One Giant Leap for Geeks.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for
Geeks. Welcome to another episode of OGLFG, where we talk about movies, video games, and all things in geek culture. I'm your host, Mike C. Squared, and with me are my co-hosts, Benoit.
I got nothing.
And DJ Mellimo.
Hey!
Now, kids, before we get started, I want to let you know, if you enjoy what we do here on the show, tell some friends about us. Share us on your social media. Whatever you choose to do, you're helping us let others know about the best damn podcast they probably never heard of. Now, as to where you can find us, the show is on Twitter at Giant Leap, the number 4 Geeks. You can get a hold of DJ Mellimo at Froggy Beaver, and Benoit is at Benoit Gaming. That's BENWAH Gaming on Twitter. All right, kids. So this is our first episode of 2019.
Yes.
We made it. We didn't die.
We did not die.
We all made good-ish decisions, so we were able to live to see another year. That's always a plus.
I'd say we made pretty good decisions.
I don't know. I was pretty smashed last night, but well, not smashed per se.
You ate yourself into a food coma.
Well, yeah, that too. I was gonna say it was alcohol and food, so
Yeah.
I figured, I'm like, I didn't do that thing where you make a New Year's resolution and break it. So
I'm not doing that. I
it's
never
like,
make a resolution.
Yeah, at this point, I'm just like, whatever. Like, I'm
Resolutions are stupid.
I
If
just
you want
live
to
my
change
life.
something in your life, just start then. Don't wait.
I literally
Exactly.
said this morning. I was talking about how I think it's dumb. I was like, if you really want to change something about yourself, then don't make a set date. Like, okay, today is the day I'm going to do it. Like, just do it and you'll be fine. That being said, though, what you been doing?
Let's see. Well, we had quite a busy week.
Mm-hmm.
Last week we had Christmas, and then I come home from Christmas dinner and visiting with all the family, and I looked at my Christmas tree and I said, I'm ready for it to be over. So I wanted to take the tree down.
Mm-hmm.
But then I realized I threw away the box that the Christmas tree goes in. Well, no.
So now it's a permanent fixture in the living room?
No, just until I get my paycheck, and then I'm going to go buy a big giant tote so I can put all the Christmas tree parts in.
All right.
So it has to stay up at least until Friday.
Oh, I mean, people do that 12 days of Christmas shit.
I usually leave it up till the end of January, but this year I was over it.
Jesus Christ, to the end of January.
Yeah.
That's a long ass time.
Yeah, usually I'm like 16 days out of Valentine's Day.
She's like, I'll take it down around Valentine's Day, whatever.
But no, I walked in the house and I'm like, I'm done. I'm over it. And not that I didn't enjoy Christmas, because I did. It was great. We got we got unexpected gifts, which is always a plus. We got lots of time with friends and family. That was great. We got to see unexpected family, even better. I'm done and over with it. I'm ready for a lot of things that 2019 is promising to bring. So I'm ready to kind of move this new year a little bit like the end of 2018 did, and just kind of go forward into things. So
That's fair.
Yeah.
Benoit, what about yourself?
Not too much. With the holidays, the New Year, my family was in town. I did not actually do anything for New Year's Eve, however, because I'm old. I don't stay up that late. I wanted to be asleep before the fireworks and the gunshots went off, and I was, thank goodness. I got my entire games list cataloged. It is over 5,000. However, we're going to minimize it to 5,000. And randomly, some games will just not be in the mix. I got the first 3 already chosen, and I'll probably start them tomorrow. Nice. And also, I actually just got back not too long ago from seeing Welcome to Marwen.
Yeah.
If I'm not going to spoil it for anybody, but I will say it's a 2 out of 5. If the story does interest you, wait for it to come out on rental or Redbox. Don't pay money at the theater to see it.
Okay.
Seeing the trailer, I kind of figured that's the one with Steve Carell, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of figured that would be Netflix or a rental.
Is that the puppet one?
Yeah, that's the one where he makes the little
dolls.
Yeah, those stop
like
motion.
Barbie-esque.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
All right. That's what I thought, but I had to make sure. I was like, Steve Carell, what's he coming out?
Yeah, we've seen a trailer for it in multiple movies that we saw in 2018. But yeah, I kind of, I mean, it looked good, but not good enough for me to pay $20 to go to the theater and see it.
Yeah.
Well, it interested me at first, and I thought it would be really good, but many people have told me that my standards for films are way too high. So, I mean, maybe you would like it more than I did, but I would still recommend, like, if you want to see it, give it a month or so.
Yeah.
It kind of reminded me from the trailer of that movie that Ben Stiller did a few years ago, where, like, he just has these, like, daydreams about this, like, crazy shit. I think it's called, like, The Secret Life of Walter Mitty.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Where, like, he'll just randomly be in like an action movie and jumping off of skyscrapers.
I remember
and shit.
that movie.
Yeah, it kind of gave me vibes of that, and I didn't care for that one too much either. Like the trailer looked interesting, but then when I actually sat down and watched the movie, I was like, eh.
Yeah, that was definitely a Netflix-esque type movie for me as well. So.
Well, as for myself, nothing as exciting as you two. Obviously, holiday stuff and all that. Our tree is still up, so yeah. But I mean, our tree you could like put it in your pocket, so it doesn't.
Yeah, you do have a really tiny.
Yeah.
And I think you have more ornaments on yours than I have on mine, and I have a big 8-foot tree.
You're right,
so
and I have like a 3-foot tree.
You have a little 3-foot Charlie Brown tree.
Yeah, it is true. More ornaments than actual tree.
Yeah.
But no, the one interesting thing that happened to me this week is I almost killed my neighbor's dog. Or dogs, plural, I should say.
Oh my God, what did you do?
Not because I don't like dogs, not because I'm a serial killer, because they always say that people who like torture animals and shit are...
The fact that you have to preface the story with this makes me think you are.
Right. It's like...
Oh no, your basement is dark and dank, man.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, I do got like a deep freezer down there.
Yeah, you got some creepy shit going on.
Yeah, but no, what happened was I was on my way home from work the other day, and it was dark, and because it's like 4:30 and it's like pitch black dark outside.
Yeah, it sounds
well,
about
more
right.
like 5.
That's what happens when you live in the northern hemisphere.
Exactly. And I'm on my way home, and I'm coming down the street, and I kind of see like some shadows moving like in the distance, and I'm like, that's weird. And then like these 2 dogs just cut straight across like my line of sight and my headlights. I had to like slam on the brakes to like keep from hitting the dogs. And I was like, what the fuck? And it's my neighbor from across the street's dogs. Now, this is the neighbor, for anyone who's listened for a while, that's always an asshole and like revs his motor all day and shit like that. And I was just thinking to myself, and I was like, should I just let them get hit? And I seriously thought about it for a good 10 seconds. I was just stopped in the middle of the street, car running, and I'm like,
no.
Decisions. But because I'm not an asshole, I was like, okay. So I drove and pulled into his driveway. I went, knock on the door, and I'm just waiting there for a second. I know someone's there because there's a pickup truck in the driveway,
sure.
And I'm like, someone's here. So I'm just standing there waiting, and nobody comes to the door right away, and I'm just like, all right, well, I might just leave. And finally, I see a silhouette come over, because they had those, like, opaque, like, glass on the door things where you can see in there.
The frosted.
Yeah, but you can't see in there.
Right.
And so this silhouette comes up to the door, and they just kind of stand there for a minute, and they don't open the door right away. And I'm like, they're probably trying to figure out who I am, or why am I specifically over there.
Mm-hmm.
And they open the door, and it's not my neighbor that I know. It's some like older dude that comes to the door, and I'm like, oh, maybe he has other people living here with him, and I've just never seen him before.
Could be.
Anyway, he opens the door, and I immediately got punched in the face by weed.
Oh.
It was so much weed being smoked in that house. I was like, oh my God, like legit. If I would have stood there for any longer than I did, I would have had a contact high. It was so strong. And I was like, God damn. And so I was like, no wonder they ain't want to come to the doors. They was probably afraid I was the fucking police.
Right?
And they're like, shit, put that shit out. Turn the fan on for breathe.
Especially you got that dark car.
Exactly. So, and I tell them, I was like, hey, I just want to let you know, your dogs are both out. And I almost hit them. I was like, you might want to come out here and see, like, where they are or how they got out the gate or whatever. And so he's like, oh, thank you. And I got back in the car and left. And then they're out there with flashlights on their phone, whistling and shit for the dogs. And then later that night, I hear them driving up and down the street with the truck trying to find them. And I was like, I should just let them fucking dogs go. But that being said,
well, kudos to you for not being an asshole.
Yes,
because
they finally did get the dogs.
That's good. That's good.
And they just got a bunch of like debris stacked up in front of where they dug out, and I'm like, they just gonna dig a new spot, right? Like, you need to do something better than that, but whatever. So yeah, that was my exciting story for this week. No animals were hurt in the making of this story, so no need to worry. All right, moving on. Mr. Jordan Peele has taken a turn from his comedy roots, and he obviously is doing horror. And his first outing was Get Out, which was received very well. The movie was, I think he won a Best Screenplay Oscar or something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah, and everybody, for the most part enjoyed it. I mean, it has its detractors like anything does, but for the most part, I think most people enjoyed the movie. And this is his sophomore effort. Us is the name of the movie. Now, going into it, I just knew it was going to be a horror movie, but I didn't know anything about it whatsoever.
Right.
And after watching the trailer, I love this trailer for no other reason than how many white people were put on to I Got Five on it. because of this trailer, because I know I've seen so many people on social media and stuff like, that song, from the trailer for Us, like, I really like it. And I was like, you've never heard I Got Five on it. I'm like,
that song is like 25 years old now, man.
I know, I was gonna say it's old, but they're following that trend that movies have been doing lately, where they take an older song and then they kind of redo it a little bit. In the first Suicide Squad trailer, they had that one, I started a joke that had the whole world laughing, or that's like an old Beatles song or something like that, I think. Oh. And then there was another one for the Age of Ultron trailer. They did the No Strings on Me, the Pinocchio song. Yep. Yeah, they did that all slow and creepy. And now we finally done a hip hop song that way, and they chose I Got Five on it, which it actually went well. Like that little piano, that doom 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 doom. I was like, this actually sounds good with this. Like it's kind of creepy and melodic and shit. And I was like, I like it.
Yeah, it fit well with the content of the
this kind of weird, creepy thing. You don't really know what's happening. But just from the little bit that we've seen, what are your guys' feelings on it?
Ben?
Well, okay, first, like, it starts off with, like, just a family that happen to be black. They're going on what looks like a vacation. They stay somewhere. Mm-hmm. I love how the dad's like, the song's not about drugs. And
it's totally about
there's like a daughter's like, it's about drugs. It's not about drugs. It's about putting $5 down on a sack back when you could buy a fucking, like, dime bag for $5. Anyway. Like, I could tell it was getting horror. At first, they kind of scare you with the, oh my god, where'd my kid go? Kid seems okay. You don't know whether or not he's really okay. But there was one scene where, like, presumably this family, is, like, outside of their house. And one of the people has, like, a pair of scissors in their hands. And the first thing I thought of was, like, clock tower. Like, a scissor? Is this, like, a clock tower type thing? Like, what's that about?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the dad, like, grabs a bat, like, all right, you want to do this shit.
He's like, you want to get crazy?
That was my favorite line on the whole trailer.
And then, right before this all goes down, the mom's like, I'll always protect you. Then she's like, get your shoes.
Right?
She's like, get the fuck out of Dodge.
We ain't playing. Yeah.
That was my second favorite line. Like, yep, come here. It's okay. Mama hold you, get your damn shoes on.
Right now.
And at first, are they wearing, like, they're, like, wearing masks or something, but then they take off the masks, and they look like they're kind of disfigured clones of the family, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah. It's...
Well, I was reading the comments, which is something I usually don't do, but I mean, it's a trailer, so it's not going to be as harsh as an actual video.
Sure.
But it made me wonder, is this supposed to in any way be tied into Get Out? Or is this a completely separate film?
I'm curious of that too, like if he's kind of making like his own like connected universe with these movies. I mean, we'll see when it comes out, but maybe it could be.
Well, there was there was obviously like with a white family who I'm guessing were friends of them. But at one point it looks like there's a white woman being pulled or something. So I'm like, okay, maybe it's not. But somebody said something like, had a theory in the comments, which actually kind of resonated with me. Like maybe this is in sense a sequel because Get Out is that was a movie from 2018 too, right? Or was it 2017?
It could be late 2017, maybe at some point in 2018. I don't remember exactly when it came out.
Okay, because I don't want to spoil it if it's still relatively new.
Oh, but... no. You wouldn't be spoiling it at this point.
Spoiler alert!
I think everybody's seen Get Out at this point.
Yeah, everyone who wanted to see it, yeah.
Get Out was about a family, really wealthy family. Mother was a therapist, father was a brain surgeon. Basically, the mother would hypnotize to suppress the personality of a black person and then implant a white person's personality via brain into the black person as a dominant personality.
Yep.
And it got me thinking, if this were a sequel, wouldn't it be possible to implant a personality into a clone of black families?
No.
Like another way to assimilate, or not even assimilate, but just pretty much take over black. Like somebody put that down. I'm like, wow. I'd watch that movie.
Oh yeah. Well, here, but before I go into, conspiracy theory territory, I'll let Mel, like, is there anything in particular about the trailer that you want to, expound upon, or any, like, what kind of vibes did you get from this? Because we had an interesting conversation about Get Out because you didn't get the same.
You guys read into Get Out way more than I did. And I'm usually the very analytical type.
Sure.
I just looked at it as it was a creepy kind of suspenseful thing. And I kind of get the same. Now, to be fair, I saw Get Out when it first came out. So we're talking a year ago.
Sure.
If not more.
Sure.
And I don't always,
retain.
Sure.
I
don't know. A lot has happened.
Oh, yeah. We've seen a lot of movies since then.
We've seen a lot of movies. That being said, I think that this is just another creepy thriller that this type of, I don't know, not necessarily scary, but kind of gore factor-esque. Basically, it feels like a Blumhouse.
Oh, yeah, no, for sure. Yeah.
And that's just kind of come today's standard.
They are pretty much, the standard for horror movies at this point.
So, that kind of what it feels like. I mean, it didn't say it was Blumhouse.
I think
it said something with a teacup. But I think that might have been a reference to the Get Out as well.
Yeah. I think the name of Jordan Peele's production company is called like Monkey Paw or something like that. Yeah, and it's like a monkey's paw, like stirring tea or something like that. But yeah.
I mean, that's just kind of what I got from it. It just is one of those new age, basically a Blumhouse production type thing. But I mean, it looks good.
Yeah,
I'm not a horror fan to begin with, but I'll go see this. This looks.
Oh yeah. I now to Ben's comment about the comment section. I also saw people comparing this in the comments to like The Strangers or The Purge or something like that.
Yeah.
And I get that to a degree because it's kind of like a home invasion element to it, but I think that's a very small aspect of what this overall story is going to be.
Sure.
Okay, so the conversation that me and Mel had off mic before we started recording, Get Out, from the way I interpreted it, was the social commentary about that movie was about how white liberal people act towards black people and how they like to, culturally appropriate things, and just taking that to the next level of, instead of wanting to act like and be like black people, we are literally going to become black people. Like, because they make so many comments about, how, like the son talks about how, like, you have a genetic, advantage because you could be such a strong fighter and this, that, and the other if you just applied yourself, with your genes and your DNA, and about how the grandfather lost a race to the old black dude, so he becomes that guy, and he always runs every night and shit, now that he's in his new body, and just different things like that. There were, and the dad making comments about like, oh, I voted for Obama twice and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And the older woman asking the daughter, oh, is it true? The rumors about black men and all this other kind of shit. So like they were literally becoming these people as opposed to appropriating things from their culture and about them. They were literally just becoming them. So my theory for this movie, now I could be totally off base here, but my theory for this movie is that it is almost about the African American community and like the struggle between what we are perceived as and the darker elements of our culture that are actually true, because they are doppelgangers of these people, but the family seems more affluent, more, I don't want to necessarily use this word, but I can't think of nothing else, more socially docile, I guess, and more domesticated. Like, they seem like they could be in a middle America suburb and stuff like that, and the other neighbors wouldn't be afraid of them and shit, because they all just seem like,
like they've almost been whitewashed.
Yeah, almost, yeah. And I'm trying not to say that, but that's basically what I'm getting at. But then these doppelgangers of them are more animalistic and aggressive and violent.
The race aspect has been erased.
Yeah, exactly. And I almost feel like he may be playing, like a line between what they are trying to be and then what they are necessarily being perceived as, or the darker parts of black culture and like how people perceive, black people as being violent and, ghetto and monkeys and shit like that. Because if you notice, like in the trailer, like they run on all fours sometimes and like climbing trees and shit like that. Now, again, I could be totally off base, but if there is a social commentary to this movie, I would be interested to see what it is, because that's kind of what I perceived from this, but it's only a trailer. I don't know anything more about the story. That was just how it hit me when I saw it. And I was just like, okay, like if you're trying to say a message, I think this may be what it is.
See, you have a way deeper thinking of like how things work. And I don't know if that's because I'm a white chick and I don't see things like that. Or
sure.
Because I am somebody that believes in like, if we, ignore not ignore, but if we normalize, as opposed to saying a black guy and a white guy, or a white man and a white woman and a black woman.
Trying to like take down those like,
if we just take the race out of it and it's just a man or a woman or a middle class or lower class, even that to an extent is too much. If we just, I don't know if it's just because I'm one of those people. I'm just like, we're all just people.
Why can't we all just be?
Why can't we just get along,
yeah.
man? I'm a hippie at heart.
Jordan Peele is kind of trolling us right now, trying to make us think there's a lot deeper content to what he's making now because of the first film.
Yeah,
maybe this is just your standard. Hey, it just happens to be a black family dealing with some weird shit.
Yeah, it could be. It could be, and that's what I said. I could be reading into it. I think I'm just primed.
We could all be reading into this way too much.
Yeah. I just think I'm primed for it because that his first movie had like a social commentary to it, so I'm just like, well, I'm like, if he is going to do this in each of his movies, then that's just what like I said, that's just how it came across to me.
But
and I could be totally off
even
base.
with Get Out, you presented this whole case, and what did I say? I'm gonna go back and
watch it again.
rewatch it and keep all that kind of in the back of my head, thinking about it. I don't think I pick up on stuff like that because I'm just like, oh, okay.
Well, and that's weird though, because it, like what they were doing, what that family did was so literally what they were doing, like that they showed them doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, all the way down to where, like, they were, like, where they held an auction for who would get to be the black dude and shit, and they're, like, holding up a picture of him, and it's like, I got 20,000 over here, and I got 50,000 over here, kind of like...
To where the father, who was the brain surgeon, literally had the bodies on the operating table, moving like a chunk of the brain, which presumably held the personality to implant that into. Now,
to be fair, if it wasn't a black character and if they didn't make so many references to, black and white people relations, it could be anybody.
I didn't see it like that. I just saw it as the white people that were bidding on the black people were older. They were probably, That I saw an age thing.
Sure,
Versus
and I would have went with that too. But then
thing.
The gardener was black. The maid was black. You know, it was like everybody that they had switched into were black people. You know, even the guy with the hat, when he takes a picture of him and he freaks out and shit, he was black. So it's like everyone that they were body swapping with were black people. So it wasn't just like, you know, they were going to younger people. It was specifically black people. And
yeah, but there was definitely an immortality portion to
it. Oh,
it,
yeah, for sure.
I don't know if it was explicit or just implied that they would continue doing this to essentially live forever.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. No, for sure. And like I think eventually when those bodies got too old, they would have just switched out to somebody else and just kept this whole thing going.
Right.
But anyway, the whole trailer in general, though, I mean, even taking a social commentary out of it, just looking at it as a horror movie, I'm really interested and fascinated to see like what the explanation is going to be about who these doppelgangers are, why they're attacking them, you know, what their goal is. Like, do they want to just kill them? Do they want to replace them? Like, what exactly is going on? Like, how did they get created in the first place? Because you see her go into like an asylum or some kind of hospital looking thing at some point later in the trailer. So, you know, there's going to be a whole backstory to it, I'm sure, that they'll explain. But if it is connected to Get Out, though, I would be interested to see how the connection they're going to make. Like, is it that same Armitage family from the first movie? Or is it just some other group of people doing some crazy shit and not necessarily connected to them directly? Mm-hmm. But before we jump off of this, one funny little thing that I did notice in this, the white couple that's on the beach with them, where they're like, oh, I think it's vodka o'clock or whatever.
Yeah.
The guy that's sitting across from Lupita Nyong'o's character, he is the dude from the Tim and Eric show. He's the shorter guy. Ben knows what I'm talking about.
The guy from Tim and Eric?
Yeah.
I gotta get a better look at him because I didn't catch that.
He's the shorter one. Because when I saw it, I was like, what the fuck? And I went and Googled it, and I'm like, yeah, he's in the movie. Is that Eric?
I
guess so. Is Eric the shorter one?
I believe so, because Tim was like Tom Goes to the Man.
Yeah, then it's Eric, whatever his name is. He's in the movie.
Then I definitely, I mean, you kind of see him from far away in the chair, so I didn't pick up on it, but wow, he has a lot more facial hair, because he normally is baby face. You see him in all those skits.
And I was like, oh, that's cool. Like he's kind of like reaching out to his like other comedic, you know, counterparts and stuff and going like, hey, you know, I'm doing this horror movie, and if you want to, you know, be in it or whatever.
Are they like going to try to sell us a mattress in this film?
Right. Yeah, because I don't know if you've seen those like ads for those purple mattresses or whatever. Those are the Tim and Eric guys. They're stupid ads, but anyway. All right,
I could see Jordan Peele just put a little Easter egg in there just for 1 second. Oh, it's new mattress. Yeah, I got it from Purple. Just some little shit like that.
I would totally buy it because he does do a lot of homages in the trailer or in the movie in general to like other older horror films. Like if you notice, the kid in the car, he's wearing a Jaws shirt. Mm-hmm. And then there's another part where there's a hallway that kind of looks a little bit like the hallway from The Shining. Mm-hmm. So it's like he's got a little nods to other horror movies in there and stuff, because I guess he's a big horror movie fan, you know, which who knew?
One would expect.
Yeah, from him doing all this comedy and shit. It's like, I would have never thought of that.
Right.
But anywho, we spent more than enough time on this trailer. We're all interested in seeing it. We all have a little bit different perspectives on it. I'm just really curious to see how it's going to play out and how people are going to perceive, because that was one of the cool things about Get Out was people's fan theories and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I know Jordan Peele did a video like kind of addressing some of them, and he was like, you know, the fun of explaining just enough but not too much is letting the audience kind of run with it and make up their own stories. So
right,
yeah, there's that. Anyway, moving on.
Do you ever find yourself cruising on the information superhighway and the road takes you places you never knew existed? Have you ever allowed YouTube to autoplay videos in the background only to be taken aback by what you hear? Has the internet now made you a vessel of information so obscure that it wouldn't even help you during bar trivia night? Well then, you're quite familiar. I heard that. You're quite familiar. We're going to leave that in. You're quite familiar with where you are, but for those uninitiated, welcome to Benoit's Wabbit Hole. This is where I, your humble podcaster, Benoit, gives you a quick weekly synopsis of what I've stumbled upon over the past week. Some of this may be further elaborated on in future podcasts. but probably not. First thing up on the docket, you might have heard us briefly mention Soulja Boy trying to sell his Soulja games. Well, I'm assuming Nintendo sent him a cease and desist, because if you go to Soulja Boy's gaming website, it automatically redirects you now to Nintendo's 3DS store.
Wow.
Mr. Nintendo ain't gonna do shit on Twitter, had to boss up because he did not have a choice. Now, you're looking at a Nintendo who sued like Cool ROMs or Love ROMs or a bunch of ROM websites for $10+ million just for the sake of doing it. What do you think they're going to go after for him? Because they could probably take a lot. But I'll let you look more into that if you want to. Another thing I stumbled upon. How many of you guys there watch porn? Do you watch porn, Mike?
Oh, for sure. I'm watching it as I'm listening to you do this. Actually, no.
Do you watch porn, Mel?
Yes, I do. Not many women will admit that, but I am not one of those women.
Well, what do you search for when you look at porn? Because I have 2018's top 10 searches on Pornhub, and a lot of them are not what you would expect.
I'm kind of interested.
Yeah, I know. I'm like,
All right, show of hands if you've looked up any of these. Top 10 Pornhub search, number 10, threesomes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Pretty common, you would think. I mean, typical. You would, want to see 3 people go at it. But number 9, that's where the fetishes kick in. Bowsette.
Oh.
If King Koopa had a sister,
Oh.
there you go.
Okay.
Number 8, Tinder. Which I'm guessing either is like really poorly acted, hey, we met on Tinder, or actual amateur porn of people fucking people they swiped right on Tinder. I don't know.
I'm not.
Number 7, tattoos.
Yeah.
Which, let's be honest, a lot of people do find tattoos on people sexy, so that kind of makes sense. We're currently 2 for 4 of things that were plausible. Number 6, outdoors.
Yeah.
Do you like camping? Do you like sand in your vagina?
Oh, no. That's where I draw the line right there.
Number 5, LGBTQ community.
Yep.
Trans. Looking up trans for porn. Which, hey, man, good for you guys, man. I'm cool with that. Number 4, and this one's for the ladies. Romance.
Nope.
Or romantic. Passionate kisses.
Not what I look for in porn.
You don't look for passionate kisses?
Nope. Sure don't.
Passionate kisses.
No.
That's a really good Americana song, but I'm getting off track. Number 3, 4K. Because people want that really sharp image so they can see all the ingrown hair marks and razor burns around the vagina. Number 2, we're going back to games with Fortnite. I don't get that one. Are you cosplaying as Fortnite characters? Or is this like dance?
It's probably like the anime.
It's probably God, I can't think of the thing, but it's.
Are you looking for guys to join a squad so you can play after you're done whacking off? I don't get it.
It's probably those like source material ones, because I know Overwatch was popular for that for a while, where they would get like the source code of the characters and then make them fuck each other and shit. Yeah.
I thought maybe it's like the Mile High Club with parachutes. After you fuck in the bus, you jump off. I don't know.
Hey.
Ain't that how Will Smith got 1 million hits on you? Anyway, number 1. Now, this actually makes a lot of sense. Stormy Daniels.
Wow.
Okay.
But she is a well-known porn star, even more well-known after her affair with Donald Trump. So I'm sure a lot of people probably did look her up and go, what's so special about her?
Probably so.
And maybe it does kind of tie in with Bowsette, as supposedly Donald Trump's penis looks like a small mushroom. But anyway, that is the top 10 list of search items on Pornhub for 2018. Any questions?
So many.
Well, if you have any questions about this, you can say, no, don't fucking ask me. I don't know this stuff. This is just some of the weird shit I found on the internet, and welcome to the first, I don't even have an outro for this. We're not cutting any of this. This is going in raw.
Do it live.
Let me rephrase that.
Put it in raw.
Yeah. And that is going to be all for this week's edition of Benoit's Wabbit Hole. Tune in next time where who the fuck knows what I'm going to come up with.
I like it.
And then he can just do the like or whatever sound effect, and we can just move on.
All right, no, I like it. I liked it a lot, actually.
Yeah, I'm into it.
Okay, so we'll do the questions, and then there's only 2, and these will be quick, and then we'll go to our list.
Sounds good.
So this one was sent by our biggest fan, Besotted Geek. They said, any weird New Year's traditions? My mom and grandma always ate sardines on crackers for some strange reason. I won't say if I do or do not continue this proud family ritual. And then he puts in parentheses, I totally do.
Oh, they do?
Yeah.
Oh.
Sardines.
I
can't. How many of you guys there watch porn? Do you watch porn, Mike?
Oh, for sure. I'm watching it as I'm listening to you do this. Actually, no.
Do you watch porn, Mel?
Yes, I do. Not many women will admit that, but I am not one of those women.
Well, what do you search for when you look at porn? Because I have 2018's top 10 searches on Pornhub, and a lot of them are not what you would expect.
I'm kind of interested.
Yeah, no, I'm like,
All right, show of hands if you've looked up any of these. Top 10 Pornhub search, number 10, threesomes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Pretty common, you would think. I mean, typical. You would, want to see 3 people go at it. But number 9, that's where the fetishes kick in. Bowsette.
Oh.
If King Koopa had a sister, there you go.
Okay.
Number 8, Tinder, which I'm guessing either is like really poorly acted, hey, we met on Tinder, or actual amateur porn of people fucking people they swiped right on Tinder. I don't know.
I'm not.
Number 7, tattoos.
Yeah.
Which, let's be honest, a lot of people do find tattoos on people sexy, so that kind of makes sense. We're currently 2 for 4 of things that were plausible. Number 6, outdoors.
Yeah.
Do you like camping? Do you like sand in your vagina?
Oh, no. That's where I draw the line right there.
Number 5, LGBTQ community.
Yep.
Trans. Looking up trans for porn, which, hey, man, good for you guys, man. I'm cool with that. Number 4, and this one's for the ladies, romance.
Nope.
Or romantic. Passionate kisses.
Not what I look for in porn.
You don't look for passionate kisses?
Nope. Sure don't.
Passionate kisses.
No.
That's a really good Americana song, but I'm getting off track. Number 3, 4K. Because people want that really sharp image so they can see all the ingrown hair marks and razor burns around the vagina. Number 2, we're going back to games with Fortnite. I don't get that one. Are you cosplaying as Fortnite characters? Or is this like dance?
It's probably like the anime.
It's probably God, I can't think of the thing, but it's.
Are you looking for guys to join a squad so you can play after you're done whacking off? I don't get it.
It's probably those like source material ones, because I know Overwatch was popular for that for a while, where they would get like the source code of the characters and then make them fuck each other and shit. Yeah.
I thought maybe it's like the Mile High Club with parachutes. After you fucking the bus, you jump off. I don't know.
Hey.
Ain't that how Will Smith got 1 million hits on you? Anyway, number 1. Now, this actually makes a lot of sense. Stormy Daniels.
Wow.
Okay.
But she is a well-known porn star, even more well-known after her affair with Donald Trump. So I'm sure a lot of people probably did look her up and go, what's so special about her?
Probably so.
And maybe it does kind of tie in with Bowsette, as supposedly Donald Trump's penis looks like a small mushroom. But anyway, that is the top 10 list of search items on Pornhub for 2018. Any questions?
So many.
Well, if you have any questions about this, you can say, no, don't fucking ask me. I don't know this stuff. This is just some of the weird shit I found on the internet, and welcome to the first, welcome to the, I don't even have an outro for this. We're not cutting any of this. This is going in raw.
Do it live.
Let me rephrase that.
Put it in raw.
Yeah. And that is going to be all for this week's edition of Benoit's Wabbit Hole. Tune in next time where who the fuck knows what I'm going to come up with.
humans, to One Giant Leap for Geeks, Ask Us Anything. This is your opportunity to have your questions answered by the all-knowing enlightened ones. Or just some assholes on a podcast. If your putrid flesh sack is compelled to submit your questions, you may do so on Twitter at GiantLeap4Geeks, or email them to officialoglfg@gmail.com. The first question, sent by Besotted Geek at Besotted Geek Pod on Twitter. Any weird New Year's Eve traditions? My mom and grandma always ate sardines on crackers for some strange reason. I won't say if I do or do not continue this proud family ritual. I totally do.
Oh.
Sardines.
I
can't...
Go ahead, Ben.
I mean, to be honest, I've never tried them, but just given how they smell, I wouldn't want to.
Yeah.
My great uncle, my grandfather's brother, loves sardines, and I used to deliver to him sardine pizzas. And even in winter, I would roll down my windows because the whole fucking... Like, you take cooked sardines on a pizza, right? But then you put it in a warm car that you have to heat on because it's winter. It reeks.
Oh,
so
bet.
bad.
Ugh.
And I've heard sardines are incredibly salty, which makes sense. So, like, I feel like I would need a chaser, not just for the taste and the flavor, but all the salt.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of gagging right now.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm just sitting there going like, that is... Oh, man.
Dude.
Oh.
I babysat a kid once, and his grandpa fed him like 10 of the little cans of sardines.
What the fuck? Why?
They were just sitting. Grandpa used to sit and like to eat them, so they were sitting there eating them. This kid was 2, and between the two of them, they had 10 little
His
cans.
Diapers were probably just like
Oh
toxic.
my! It was
by the
one
time-
night. It was one night.
Over like a course of a week.
He
shitting that
comes
out.
to me and he's like, my belly doesn't feel so good. So I set him on the counter. I'm looking for the Tylenol in the cabinet. I don't want it, I don't want him to fall. I got my hand on him. All of a sudden he looks at me and he makes this face. And I just stop. And I look at him and he's got this face and he pukes all over the kitchen. I'm like, nope, can't do it. So sardines, not.
Sardines are the one topping that even the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles, if you're from Europe, refuse to eat.
They really
they're
call
that
them
bad
the
that a
Hero
fictional
Turtles
character
and-
won't even eat them.
They don't like ninjas.
They don't like
in Europe?
ninjas?
Ninja was considered too violent of a term over in Europe.
Are you shitting me?
Yeah.
Well,
I shit you not.
Well, I mean, but they use karate and they fight ninjas. What the fuck? Anyway, okay. Okay, so do you guys personally have any weird New Year's traditions? Not counting eating sardines on crackers.
I do not.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the weirdest thing that we do on New Year's is we kind of sit around and watch the ball drop and maybe have a shot, eat some food, and call it good. But I wouldn't call any of that weird.
Yeah.
No. I kiss T-Money at midnight. That's normal, though. I don't think I have anything weird. Now we did do a food toast after a regular
Food.
We
like
did.
2 sliders and
We did, actually. We did. We both took a drink. Well, we both kissed each other and then, or we kissed each other and then we both took a drink of our rum and eggnog and then he had a slider.
You said rum?
Yeah, rum and eggnog.
Okay, I thought you said ramen eggnog. I was
Ew,
like, oh my god.
Hell no.
I was like, that's worse than the sardines. Jesus.
No, he had a slider in his hand and I had a jalapeno popper and we clinked our food together and then I kissed him again. So
Nice.
I mean
that's funny.
That's just because we're foodies and it happens.
What about you, Ben? Do you have any weird New Year's traditions?
Nothing I do is weird. Nothing. No. I mean, unless you consider not giving a shit anymore and trying to go to sleep before midnight weird.
No, that just means you're old.
Yeah. Do I have... No, because I always end up doing something a little bit different each year. So it's like sometimes we go out. One time I got to go to a roof New Year's party by accident because I stumbled upon it, and I'm pretty sure...
That sounds cool.
I'm pretty sure it was a work function because there was like punch and food, and I'm like, these ain't just some random dudes on a roof. Like there was like people in suits and shit, and I'm just like, we aren't supposed to be here. So it's like, if you just don't say anything to anybody and just stare at the fireworks and then hurry up and leave, we might not get kicked out. But no weird traditions, but I found out something about my girlfriend.
Okay.
Okay, now most people don't know the words to the song that everybody sings on New Year's. It's called Auld Lang Syne, not Old Lane Sign.
Right.
It's AULDLANGSYNE.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't even know that song.
I do.
Okay. It's a Scottish song,
right?
Apparently, okay. Most people don't know the words. They start off with like, should old acquaintance be forgot, da da da, and then they just start mumbling the rest because they don't know the rest of the words. Right. Okay. So we are all aware that people at least sing on New Year's a song of some kind, right? Right. That
I don't. I never sung.
You've never seen people? Okay, then maybe you.
No, I mean I've seen some like on TV. But
Sure.
Never. It's never been anything I've ever been experienced to or done
personally.
Myself. Like, I've never seen anybody else do it.
Yeah, but you're aware that people do it. Okay.
Some people do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, Amber, she did not know the song. She did not know that people sung on New Year's like at all. And I was like, they do it all over the world in all kind of different countries for like hundreds of years at this point, I think. Because it was like the song is about like an old Scottish poet from like the 18 or 1900s or something like that. And I'm like, this has been a thing for like literally our entire lives, our grandparents' lives. I'm like, you've never heard it? She's like, nope, not once. And I was like, your parents have failed you. I don't know how you've gone this long and no one's ever showed you this song. But when I made the little Francine clip for this week's questions, I looked up the lyrics and learned it somewhat. Like I couldn't just sing it verbatim, but
sure.
Yes, I know at least now that it's a Scottish song and it's called Auld Lang Syne.
T Money said he'd never watched the ball drop.
Wow, really?
And I was like, we have been together. This was our sixth New Year's together, I think.
So what do you guys know?
Fifth or sixth.
New Year's?
We do. We watch it every year. And I told him, I said, we've been together almost 6 years. So this would be our 5th or 6th New Year's together.
I just stopped paying attention around midnight.
He's like, I don't ever remember seeing it drop. I don't ever remember seeing it. I don't remember seeing it. This morning I got, here are your Facebook memories. Last year, or two years back, we had a silly string fight in the middle of our living room. Me, him, and my brother
at midnight
while we're watching the ball drop. And
I put, see it on the TV in the background.
It's on the TV, and I put in the post with it. It says, watching the ball drop, this is the aftermath of the silly string fight. Happy New Year, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I know that we've watched it every year. And he's like, yeah, I've never seen that. I'm like, you just don't pay attention.
How drunk was he?
Right.
He just doesn't pay attention.
He's blacked out.
Like, I look away right at midnight if you kiss, I guess, and then you stop.
Yeah, but we usually watch the ball drop and we're kissing in that first minute of 2019.
Yeah, because they show it for like a good minute.
Yeah, we don't kiss at midnight. We kiss in like midnight and 30 seconds.
Okay.
So he would have seen it drop.
Well, technically at 11:59 they start loading.
Yeah, because they're counting down.
You count the countdown. You got 15 seconds before, and you watch it, and it goes off, and then you lean over and kiss each other. So I don't know.
Which is funny. This year, Amber had it on her phone during a live stream because I was playing Spider-Man like right up until midnight, and then like the live stream just stopped right at midnight, and I was like, did New York blow up? Like, what the fuck happened? It just stopped, and the whole thing froze right at midnight, and I was like, that's kind of foreboding.
Well, because they had to reset it for, like, the next time
right,
zone.
There you go.
Somebody had to go hoist the ball.
Y2K and shit.
What, did you watch it from, like, one of the networks? Because when I went to, like, parties and stuff, we all did our own thing, but normally when it was with the family when I was younger, back when Dick Clark was alive, we always used to watch the ABC's New Year's Rockin' Eve.
We watched it with Steve Harvey.
That's what we always
did. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh, was he the one who hosted it this year?
Ryan Seacrest has taken over Dick Clark's spot. Yeah. So Ryan Seacrest does the Rockin' New Year's Eve with Ryan Seacrest. But we didn't get that channel. So we were just flipping, and I knew it was going to be on somewhere. We did New Year's Eve was Steve Harvey, and it was on Fox for us in our area.
Oh, because he popped up during the ABC one for like a second, but
Yeah,
he was like, "Oh, I gotta go."
Yeah,
Apparently
they like visit each other's.
Well, it
sets
makes sense because ABC
they're right there.
owns Disney and Fox now, so
Right.
they're like, "Hey, crossover! Hey, we're having our Avengers right here."
Hey, I liked it much better with Steve Harvey because the Chinese guy.
Yeah, but Ryan Seacrest had Jenny McCarthy though. No one cares.
Okay, Ryan Seacrest can take Jenny McCarthy, and I don't like that man. But Steve Harvey had the little Chinese dude from The Hangover.
Oh, yeah. He's in a show, too. I can't think of that actor's name, but yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, he was on Community for a while. And
yeah,
stuff
they were running around New York. And
yeah,
then
he's the gay dude.
He had the
that's
chick
him.
from the Pussycat Dolls. Snoop made an appearance.
What the
and
fuck?
I was
like just all these random celebrities
I was
who
down
don't matter
for it.
no more.
The dude,
Yeah.
like Nicole Scherzinger.
Yeah.
Her.
Yep. And then he had a little kid that was dressed up like a mini Steve Harvey. He had like a big trench coat and a mustache on. It was adorable.
Aww.
So we will be watching it on Fox from now on
There you
and
go.
watching Steve Harvey because I don't like Ryan Seacrest.
Yeah. No, I'll say. Yeah. Okay. All right, Francine. Next question.
And finally, this is sent by St. Paul Filmcast at St. Paul Filmcast on Twitter. Batman / Reign of Superman. Wonder Woman Bloodline, Justice League vs. The Fatal Five. Which of DC animated films you are looking forward to?
Now, I have not seen the trailers for some of these, which if I'm not sure if they have trailers out for all of them. I do know that of the ones that he listed, I would much rather see Batman Hush.
Mm-hmm.
But that's because I've read that comic arc, so
Yeah.
I am more aware of that one than some of the other ones. I know we talked about off mic, you are interested in seeing Killing Joke.
Yes.
Because you've seen parts of it.
I've seen bits and pieces of it, and I'm honestly too cheap to go buy a Killing Joke. You can
Sure.
get it at Walmart for like $35 or something.
Jesus.
It's crazy expensive, and I think I'd like to see that, but I'm going to research these 4 or 5, and I think the Wonder Woman one kind of sounds pretty interesting.
Wonder Woman.
I don't know much about Wonder Woman. I
Sure.
mean, the Batman Hush, been there, read that.
Sure.
I mean, that would be cool to see visually. As I said, I don't know much about Wonder Woman, but since Gal Gadot has become, like the iconic Wonder Woman of today, I would like to kind of see the Wonder Woman Bloodlines. That just sounds interesting to me. So I am going to answer their question and say I'm most excited for Wonder Woman Bloodlines. However, my honorable mention is I'd like to actually sit down and watch all of the Killing Joke to make sure that it is as good as I pieced it together to be.
I would say this. If you do watch The Killing Joke, skip the first 20 minutes or so, because there's a tacked-on Batgirl story that made a lot of people angry because basically she has this weird father-daughter relationship with Batman, and then they fuck in the movie. Like, they fuck in the movie. Like, they're in their bat suits, and, like, they're fighting because he doesn't want her to do some shit, and she tackles them, and they're on top of each other, and they're just looking at each other, and they start making out, and he just starts pulling her tits out and shit, and then they cut away. There's no, like, cartoon nudity or anything. And people were like...
Cartoon tits.
They were like, wait, what the fuck just happened? Like, what? So, yeah, it's a whole thing. And it's I don't know why, because The Killing Joke comic is just one standalone graphic novel. It's not a series of books, so it's not enough story there to make into a whole movie. So they added on this extra thing at the beginning because Barbara Gordon gets shot and paralyzed by the Joker and all that stuff. And so they was like, oh, we'll show some stuff with her beforehand. And it's like, yeah, y'all didn't have to do that, though. Like, that kind of left a bad taste in people's mouths because it's like, he, like, takes these people under his wing and trains them and shit. And now he's fucking them and shit. It's like, they already had this shit with Robin back in the day where, like, the Comics Code Authority was like, oh, there's some homosexual overtones between Batman and Robin and all that shit. So, anyway.
I would say that kind of stuff doesn't bother me, though. So,
yeah, but it was like, that was back in, like, the 50s and shit, and they were all weird about that kind of shit.
Yeah. There's actually a Cards Against Humanity card about that.
Oh, yeah?
We have it. We got a couple expansions for Christmas.
Sure.
And one of the expansions has a card that says, psychologist in the 1950s used blank to get rid of the homosexual illness or something along those lines.
Oh, Jesus. Jesus. Okay. And you have to come up with your answer.
Yeah. You fill in the blank with the infinite amount of white dirty cards that we got. And
sure.
We've come up with some pretty funny answers.
Okay. Now, Benoit, I know you're not so much into the DC stuff like we are. Does any of these sound interesting to you?
No.
Short, sweet, to the point.
All right. Okay. All right.
I mean, I'll watch Gal Gadot, but
sure.
That's about it.
That is fair. All right, Francine, play us out.
That was a complete waste of time, but you humans seem to enjoy using your hair jelly for useless endeavors. Alas, if you'd like to send more, you can do so on Twitter at GiantLeap4Geeks, or email them to officialoglfg@gmail.com. Now, fuck off.
So we are going to do our obligatory year-end best and worst of list. And this week is going to be the best. So we are going to kind of jump back and forth with this. Now I'm going to give some ground rules here because I don't want to hear people on the internet bitching at me about, oh, well, how could you rank this number one over this, that, and the other? None of that shit matters.
It's my list.
Yes. So there are 2 rules to these lists, and I will explain as follows. The numerical position of any given subject on these lists do not indicate our quote-unquote like of that subject over any other subject on said list. There are plenty of things not included on these lists that we liked or disliked, but we wanted to keep these lists at 5 with 1 honorable mention apiece. The position of these subjects is random. These are just a collection of things we enjoyed or disliked in this, the year of our Lord, 2018. 2. These lists are comprised of movies, TV shows, games, anime, and other events in geekdom from the prior year. It would be illogical to make comparisons of subjects on these lists based on numerical position to each other, seeing as though 2 subjects may or may not be comparable, and trying to judge which one is quote-unquote better is silly. So, how we're going to do this is we're going to go back and forth.
Okay.
We'll start with our honorable mentions, and we'll just kind of go round table, and then we'll just go down the list and go from there.
Okay.
I'm going to have Benoit start first, then I'll have Mel go, then I'll go, and then we'll just keep going in the circle.
All right.
So Benoit, you're up.
Top lists. I hate doing top lists. Okay. Well, what I really enjoyed was the fact that JonTron made his return to YouTube with a sequel to his previous video on a Flex Seal.
Okay.
And he actually got the guy who created Flex Seal in the video, which I thought was pretty cool.
All right, so Mel, you're up.
My honorable mention is kind of a personal one. I couldn't really think of anything that was, just honorably mentionable. I did like that we dressed up for the show for Halloween. I thought that was cool. And it counts because we were both dressed in our favorite cosplay. Halloween costume-esque thing. So that was definitely my honorable mention as a top 5.
And then tell them what we were.
I was Poison Ivy. And you were a character from...
Trunks. Thank you, from Dragon Ball Z.
I'm so sorry.
God.
Trunks from Dragon Ball Z.
Future Trunks, by the way. Not Kid Trunks. Not Chibi Trunks. Future Trunks.
Yeah, that's Vegeta's son to you.
Yes.
Mel.
Okay. That I'm...
Vegeta and Bulma's son.
I might be able to
Half
remember
Saiyan.
Vegeta's son.
Yeah.
Probably not.
Not to be confused with Vagina, which was not one of the top 10 search subjects on Pornhub.
Surprisingly.
Not really. People are into some weird shit nowadays.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay. So I kind of feel bad because I felt like I overcompensated for these now because if you could see my notes and how thick
that's all right.
explanation it is.
You can overcompensate for the lack thereof that I have.
Okay,
so we're good. We got this.
So all right, my honorable mention is Halloween. Not the holiday, but the movie.
The movie, okay.
Yes. Halloween, I felt, was a fantastic follow-up to the original film. There are scares aplenty, and it doesn't shy away from gore. It erases all the unnecessary lore from the prior sequels and focuses on what made the original great. an unstoppable killing machine that has no rhyme or reason to him, and John Carpenter's score is like boss as shit.
Yes.
Like the soundtrack to that movie was dope as hell.
Yes.
It was a great way to revitalize the franchise, and I am looking forward to the inevitable sequel. I don't know how they're going to do more of these after the way it ended, but I'm willing to see how they explain how he's not dead and continues to kill after this.
As long as they bring back that score, I might be okay with it.
Oh yeah, no,
that was probably the best soundtrack of 2018.
It was cool, and especially too with the theater we saw it in the audience and shit. Like there was people behind me like, "Oh, that beat is dope." I was like, "Okay, I'm enjoying this." So go ahead, Ben, you're up.
Well, if we're going to be talking about films, we got to mention Black Panther, which became the 9th highest grossing film of all time, and proof that an all African American cast can make a film that will appeal to a mainstream audience.
Yep.
I agree.
I believe it was, of all like the superhero films too, not like the Avengers or groups, but of all like individual superheroes, I think this was the highest grossing film of all time as well.
Yes, highest grossing solo. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep, you're right.
Yeah, it's one of the few films I actually did see this year that I really did like. Or last year that I really liked.
Mm-hmm. All right, excellent. Mel, you're up.
I broke my list into like subcategories.
Sure.
Just for the hell of it.
Sure.
My best Marvel movie this year was Black Panther.
Okay.
For lots of reasons. Mm-hmm. The casting was great. The screenplay was great. The script was great. The visual effects were great. Mm-hmm. So that kind of, I don't know. I had a lot of things in 2018, and I had to try to find a way to sort them out.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
So picking certain categories for the different things on my list. So best Marvel movie of 2018 is Black Panther.
Okay. Spoiler alert for my list. Black Panther's not on it. I know. The one black dude on the podcast, and I don't have Black Panther on my list. I know. I'm going to catch so much shit for this. The only thing that I would disagree with you on Black Panther is the one thing I did not like about Black Panther was I thought CG was bad.
Really?
That fight between T'Challa and Killmonger at the end looks fucking terrible. Like, for that to be the second to last movie that came out right before Infinity War, I was like, did y'all just take all the CG people and put them on Infinity War? And
probably
was like,
so.
It was like, it's fine. It was a good movie overall, but just in that, and I don't like that whole thing where it's like you have the hero fighting his doppelganger, where it's just like Iron Man's fighting another Iron Man and Black Panther's fighting another Panther, and I'm just like, okay, can we not do that? I get having a mirror to the main character and showing how they could be bad, but I don't need you to literally put two Panthers in a fucking room and have them fight like that. That bothered me. But anyway.
Don't want two symbiotes fighting it out?
No, yes. Thank you. See? Exactly that. See? Don't get me riled up. That's next week.
No, that's next week.
Okay, all right. My number 5 is Avengers Infinity War.
Okay.
Okay. This movie was 18 films and 10 years in the making. It was an unprecedented culmination of connected stories and characters that all came together for one of the most engaging, action-packed, and emotional roller coaster rides that I have ever seen put on film. Thanos has joined the ranks of great movie villains alongside Hannibal Lecter, the Joker, Darth Vader, Tony Montana, you name it. Every character we've grown to love gets their time in the limelight while still having a cohesive story that's easy to follow, even if you haven't seen all the films in the MCU. It was a fantastic part 1 of a 2-part finale to the Avengers saga so far, with a climax that was shocking and heartbreaking while leaving you asking what's next for our heroes. It's an unprecedented feat that has yet to be replicated. Infinity War is not just a movie, it is a decade-spanning experience. And I told you, I really felt like I overcompensated now that I'm going through these things. But
it's okay. Because you see my show notes, so you're good.
Fair. Okay, so that was my number 5. And Ben, it's back to you.
Insight landed on Mars.
Ooh.
Yes, it landed on Mars.
That's exciting.
It's gonna it's gonna check out its seismic, how the seismic activity, its heat, its climate, things like that. It's basically gonna tell us more than we've ever known before of the planet. This is I think the 8th time we've ever sent anything up there that worked. It's definitely going to give us more insight on the nearest planet to us. Or wait, no, let me think. I take that back. Are we closer to Venus than to Mars?
No. I don't think so. I think
I guess you could say the nearest inhabitable planet.
There you go.
If nothing else.
Yeah, but anyway, it wasn't, nobody was certain if it would land. We thought it would, and it did, but, you never know. Anyway, I think that's really cool, and I look forward to reading more about what it picks up in time.
Excellent. See, that's good. Oh, I didn't pick anything space shit, because I could have talked about SpaceX, too. Anyway. All right. Mel, it's on you.
Gee, that makes my number 4 seem really, less geeky, but okay. My number 4 was the best dance move of 2018.
Ooh. If you say the floss.
Well.
Go ahead.
It was
Make your case.
It was a tie between the shoot and the floss.
The shoot? What's that?
That's the one where they kick their leg back and kick their arm down, and
okay.
It's often paired with shoot.
Okay. All right.
Somebody remixed the floss?
Go ahead.
Often paired with the floss.
Uh-huh.
So they start out in the shoop and then they go to the floss. I just thought it was entertaining. I
can't hate on it because it became a phenomenon. So.
I've seen it on YouTube in multiple different facets. I've seen old people do it. I've seen young people do it. I've seen them cross in to I think Jimmy Fallon and Will Smith had one where they did a bunch of dance moves and then they went into the floss and the shoop, and I thought they were very entertaining, and they will probably go down in stupid dance moves, like the Soldier Boy or the Kid and Play or something. I don't know.
The Bernie,
whatever. I like it.
No. You know what? I can't even hate on it because last night before the ball dropped, Amber did the floss too. So don't feel bad for picking it. It's all good. It's popular. Hey, there's no getting around it. Wow. Okay. My number 4 was Ozark Season 2. This show is my new Breaking Bad.
Okay.
It's about a financial planner who is laundering money for the Mexican drug cartel, and he moves his family to Missouri after his business partner is murdered for helping the feds, and he must come up with an even bigger laundering scheme to protect himself and his family. The stakes have been raised even higher than in the first season, and the characters have changed pretty drastically over the course of the show. There's a constant tension, and watching Marty talk his way out of corners is the bread and butter of the show. Ruth Langmore is the MVP of this season with a great character arc, as well as Wendy Bird, Marty's wife. This show is suspenseful, funny, smart, and horrifying. It is a much watch and a good successor to the legacy of Walter White.
All right. Never heard of it, but it makes me want to go out and watch it.
It's on Netflix. It's really good. It's 10 episode season, so it's not very long. It's short, and it's fucking good. It's really fucking good.
I can roll with that.
As I say, I tell people, if you like Breaking Bad or anything similar to that, this is the new that, because it's really good. It gets really dark and some fucked up shit goes on, but it's good. Number 3.
All right, man. See, when you told me the other week, hey, what do you think of 2018? I'm like, I don't really know. I didn't think about it. Truth is, I didn't want to think about it because I already had my opinion on 2018. And maybe it's just my personality, but I think there was a lot of stuff that sucked. And you'll hear, I'll try to condense next week's list. But anyway, as for things that I enjoyed, I tend to be a little more interested when I do any research in things of a political nature. And so I try to steer clear from anything that could be really too politicized or divisive. But one thing that I remembered vividly, because I watched it a handful of times, Michelle Wolf's White House correspondent speech.
Ah, okay.
I was rolling. She was roasting. She was Kenny Rogers roasting people. It was hard.
Mm-hmm.
And that definitely has to be a highlight of 2018.
Okay. You know, and honestly, I had never heard of her before, but she was actually pretty damn funny. I'll give her that.
A lot of people never heard of her before this.
And she had a show for a bit.
And a lot of people still won't hear of her because her Netflix show
Yeah, I was going to say,
canceled.
she had a show for a bit on Netflix, but then it got canceled too, yeah. But no, I thought she was really funny. And if she had a stand-up
I'm
special,
pretty sure I showed you part of that at work.
Who is this?
Michelle Wolf.
Oh,
girl, you gotta watch that.
She's really cute too. I mean, that helps as well.
I'd buy her a Slurpee. Yeah. Little freckles.
All right, Mel, you're number 3.
My number 3 is best sequel.
Ooh, okay.
So,
you know, your list, I like the way you got yours set up because it's kind of like almost like a Oscar-y kind of thing.
Yeah.
With the
Like I said, I
stuff.
had so many good things of 2018.
Yeah.
And I had to find a way to shrink it down. So,
Okay.
Best sequel, and that definitely hands down goes to Creed 2.
Ooh,
absolutely.
Okay.
I loved Creed. I love the Rocky series.
Mm-hmm.
However, Creed 2 has got more than what I could have expected. Especially from a sequel, especially dredging up things that were already played out in Rocky.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Specifically Rocky 4.
Mm-hmm.
This is the 8th movie in the franchise altogether.
Yes, I think you're right. Yep. Mm-hmm.
So we are 8 Rocky movies in,
Mm-hmm.
and Creed 2 is setting it up for Creed.
Yeah.
And it still has me captivated, still has me interested. I still want to see what's going on. And as I said, I liked how it was played out. It wasn't just the same old Rocky 4 revamped.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
because it could have been real easy to
absolutely.
fuck this up, especially when they're like,
absolutely.
Apollo's son versus Ivan Drago's son, and
Yes.
it's like it could have been real easy to fuck
real
this up.
easy.
Yeah.
And
Putin shows
You're
up.
right.
Yeah.
Putin shows up.
oh my God.
That would have actually made it a little bit better.
On his horse with no shirt.
Because remember when we saw the trailer for it, I was like, I wonder if he's going to have a scene where he does, like at the end of Rocky 4, where he's like talking to like the oligarchs in Russia and shit. And he's like, if I can change, you can change, we all can change.
Right.
And then they're like, shut your ass up.
Yeah. So definitely.
I think you were just like Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah, well,
not.
That's 2 movies with him on your list, Black Panther and
I
Creed.
like Michael B. Jordan. Okay.
Yeah. I'll say I do too. He's
on your list.
He's
You
a
can
very
admit
sexy
it.
man.
He is. I was gonna say.
I would say my list of sexy actors and actresses is a very long, distinguished list.
Fair. Okay. So my number 3 is Spider-Man for the PS4. This is, yes, of course, you knew he was gonna work his way in there somehow. This is the Spider-Man game we've been waiting for. It's a game that mixes fluid and exhilarating web swinging and fast-paced and inventive combat. I can't explain how many hours I spent just traversing the city and swinging from skyscrapers and stopping small crimes just because it felt like you were Spider-Man. Like, don't get it twisted, though. Like, the plot is some of the best storytelling that Spider-Man has had in any medium. That's including movies and comics. Insomniac Games has taken the world and characters that we're familiar with, and they did their own twist on it. And they took the characters and stories in surprising and kind of shocking ways. The boss battles are cinematic gold and remind me of the God of War series. And the gadgets and costumes are loads of fun. The stealth missions are even fun, and I fucking hate stealth missions.
Right.
But they actually found a way to make it fun for me. The world and the characters make you care about the stakes and makes you want to save the day. And this is probably the best version of Spider-Man we've ever gotten, and a game that has made great strides in making Spider-Man games great again. Yeah, I said it. Don't look at me like that. But that's my number 3, Spider-Man for the PS4. All right, so Ben, you're number 2.
Once again, I'm going to have to follow your lead into the film, so it's going to be video games. Got to give a shout out to all my viewers and everybody who contributed to me last year. I've gone through a number of controllers over the years, and I was actually in the middle of Legend of Dragoon when I button mashed the shit out of my X button, and it pretty much broke, so I couldn't complete the game. I was able to raise not only enough money to get a replacement controller, but to buy a few games. And there were a few games I really did love in 2018. One being The Messenger.
Nice.
Which, if you've not played it, if you're into platforming and retro-style-esque looking platformers, that's definitely a way to go. Mega Man 11. I did complete the Mega Man Marathon, playing them all 1 through 10, ending with 11. And technically Dead Cells was in early access in 2017, but it was fully released earlier this year. So, I mean, those 3 games, I am really grateful for having access to those 3 games and playing them and all the money I acquired. And basically, this is just my way of saying thank you to all of my fans on Twitch as my number 2, because you're almost as important as number 1. No, I didn't quantify this. But no, I mean, yeah, just a lot of the games, specifically those 3, and then everything I acquired to be able to play them. Yeah, made 2018 a good year for me.
Nice. All right, Mel, you're number 2.
Number 2 was best trailer released.
Ooh, okay.
Captain Marvel.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Oh my god, I was so excited when we finally got a trailer for not the teaser trailer,
but the
first official trailer.
Okay, where she goes all Super Saiyan shit at the end. Okay.
This did have to beat out Aquaman's trailer.
I'm surprised
it was,
at you. Yeah, I know.
Real close.
Because I felt like we needed a mop after that Aquaman trailer. Because I was like, good lord. He's like,
I think to be fair is we saw the Captain Marvel trailer first. I think is why it finally won out. You know, I'm excited for the Captain Marvel movie, and I'm excited to see yet another strong, independent woman figure as a superhero.
All right.
I'm eager for her backstory. Not to say that Momoa and his underwater godlike esque was not as great.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I said, it was a very tough.
Oh yeah.
Comparison between the 2 trailers, but
okay.
Definitely the Captain Marvel trailer was the best of 2018.
Okay. All right. Fair. I'm surprised, but fair. No,
yeah.
You made a good case for it. Okay.
I mean, see, honestly, if I were to plead the other case, it would just be Momoa wet. That's all I need.
Right. End of story.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Yeah. Right.
Okay, so mine is actually an album. My number 2 is Muse's Simulation Theory.
A kamikaze? I'm just going to leave you with that.
Lord have mercy. The album is not bad, but that song is rough.
Almost made it onto my top. Almost.
Oh, Lord, child. Okay, so yeah, my number 2 is Muse's Simulation Theory. Jesus Christ. Muse is my favorite band, like hands down. I love how they're always experimenting with their sound, and this album is no different. It blends things that I like, or like I love, like 80s synthwave, bombastic rock, and Matt Bellamy's like orchestral classical voice. My favorite tracks on the album are Algorithm, Dig Down, and The Dark Side. It's definitely a departure from Muse's earlier albums, but it's a welcome change, and I can't wait to see the visuals they bring to their live shows from this album, because they put on fucking mind-blowing concerts, and they're always just crazy with lights and explosions and all kind of shit. Plus, every song has a music video with a through line of stories that are focused on this high school in the 80s. It has a lot of nods to like Back to the Future, Tron, Teen Wolf, Fright Night, Gremlins, and a whole lot of other 80s nostalgia. Also, Terry Crews plays a prominent role in several of the videos, so that's always a bonus, because anything with Terry Crews in it, I'm like, yes.
The original T-Money.
Right. The original T-Money, yeah. That's my number 2. We're down to the last one. Number 1.
The not number 1, but number 1 for the sake of this. You guys know I am a professional wrestling fan. Got to give a shout out to the Young Bucks and all those members who put together All In. The first professional wrestling event not associated with the WWF or WCW that was able to bring in over 10,000
WWE?
people. Yeah, it's still called
WWF is a panda organization.
Oh, yeah, now. Oh, is that why they had to change it?
I don't like calling
Holy
WWE.
Shit, I did not know that. Okay, anyway.
Yep.
Fun trivia fact.
Yeah, it's the World Wildlife Fund. The panda is just on the logo.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, and I was I almost mentioned this earlier in the segment, but it was announced today that All Elite Wrestling is going to happen, as well as a sequel to All In, Double or Nothing. So if you are a fan of professional wrestling, but you're not a big fan of the World Wrestling Entertainment, definitely keep an eye out for them and look them up on YouTube. Look up Being the Elite, Be Elite on YouTube. I gotta say, I when you tell people that you like wrestling, they assume it's WWE. I'm not a big fan of them. I'm a big fan of Puro. I'm a big fan of the U.S. Indies, Ring of Honor. And so hearing about this is like awesome, and I'm looking forward to what they could do next. I'm also looking forward to July 4th is coming Friday's Wrestle Kingdom event for New Japan. But that's not 2018, so we're not going to talk about that anymore.
Okay. All right.
Ready?
Last one. There you go.
My number one.
All right. Brace yourself.
Best movie.
Ooh.
Went big or went home with this one.
All right.
Ace Ventura.
Okay.
Bohemian Rhapsody.
You know, I had a feeling.
That's a song.
It is a movie, sir.
I had a feeling it was going to be this because after you saw it, you were like glowing about the movie. So I had a feeling. It was either this or I was going to tell you to get the fuck out of my house if you said Venom.
I toyed around with putting Venom on here just to fuck with you, but I was like, nah. I'm like, it was okay, but it really wasn't the best of anything.
Okay.
Bohemian Rhapsody. Now, a little bit of backstory, because we all like backstories.
Sure.
When I was 3,
okay,
well, Wayne's World was my
way backstory.
Mini
origin story.
Yeah, origins. When I was 3, Wayne's World was my absolute favorite movie, as could probably be guessed. Has always been one of my favorite movies. The Bohemian Rhapsody scene in the beginning of the movie, where he puts the cassette tape in the car and they're all headbanging and singing the song, stuck with me. I don't know why.
Okay.
Wore that tape out twice.
Jeez.
So fast forward to older me, who is allowed to make musical decisions on her own. Queen became a very, very well listened to thing that I picked. Excuse me. Now fast forward that a little bit more to adult me.
Okay.
Queen is on my playlist regularly. Like, doesn't matter which song. Bohemian Rhapsody has always been my favorite song, even since I was little.
Okay.
I've had plenty of close favorites, a lot of things I've jumbled around with, top 10. Bohemian Rhapsody, I don't know why, but it has always been my favorite song. So when that was the title of the Queen biopic, I was super excited right then and there.
Okay.
Then after seeing the Queen biopic, this movie can do no wrong.
Okay. Okay.
I liked the cast. I liked the costumes. I liked the way that it played out. I liked the acting choices. I liked the small cameo by Mike Myers. That was great. I liked the smaller cameo line where he says, people will never listen to you. They will never be headbanging and rocking out to you. That homage to Wayne's World, that was great. The way that the music was perfectly placed, the way the visual effects, everything. Hands down, best of 2018.
Nice. As well, too, because I still haven't had a chance to see it yet, but my biggest thing that I was looking most forward to in seeing the movie is just to see how they portrayed Freddie. And from what you've told me, they do him justice.
Absolutely.
And as well, too, from what I've heard about the movie, it's not just about him. It's about the band and, their lives and stuff, too.
His relationship with his family, his relationship with his fans, his relationship with his partners, his relationship with just, like, people around the band, the the crowds, the everything.
Managers and all that
Managers, everybody.
Nice.
It's great. And I forget that you haven't seen it yet.
Well,
and I'm sure that Ben hasn't seen it yet either.
Yeah, well, eventually I will. Is it out on DVD yet? No, I don't think so. I didn't see it.
I don't even know.
We picked up a movie from Family Video last night, but I didn't see it.
No, I don't think that it is out on DVD yet. I know that it was in theaters quite a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure it's been overshadowed by Aquaman at this point.
Oh, yeah.
But especially since that's been out for nearly 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
2 weeks,
least,
I think.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I would pay to go back to the theaters and see it.
Well,
I'm
would
sure.
have to.
Well,
no, I'm just fucking with you.
Trivia note, not to get too far off subject, but initially Bohemian Rhapsody was not meant to be in Wayne's
really?
World.
No, it was supposed to.
Yeah. Lorne Michaels originally wanted Guns N' Roses
did.
to be in the intro.
Yeah, Bohemian Rhapsody is still playing, and I knew that fact about the Guns N' Roses, because Guns N' Roses was popular at the time when the movie came out.
Okay.
And so...
So did Mike Myers have to fight for that one?
He did.
Oh, nice.
Yep, Mike Myers thought that it would be best to be Queen because he was a big Queen fan.
It's a good choice because he probably turned a lot of people on, especially around our age, onto Queen who may have never heard of them before.
Sure.
Because that was the first time I ever heard Bohemian Rhapsody was in Wayne's World. So, yeah.
Unfortunately, even though Freddie Mercury was aware it was going to be in the film, he did pass away due to complications from AIDS a few months before the movie was released.
He died in 91 and the film was released early 92.
Damn. That's fucked up.
So he didn't get to see it.
Yeah.
It's crazy that it's still in theaters, though.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
If it's making money, they'll keep it in.
They said Aqua who? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. My number one, which, again, is just the last one. It doesn't actually mean anything. But I have forever and today talked about this. It's in the title intro to every episode that we do, and I never talk about it. Anime. I've been wanting to talk about anime, and this is my first time I'll get to talk about anime on the show, so god damn it.
You know it's your show, and you can talk about anime whenever you want, right?
Yes, but if you have nothing to add to it, it's just me talking about anime for fucking 45
how many
minutes.
weeks have you said, hey, go watch this? Or, hey, go check into that?
But see, a lot of times it's an anime series and not a movie, and the time it would take for you to get caught up with it to where we could talk about it would be... It'd be 2020 before
Gotcha.
It's on season 3 now of the show I'm about to talk about, so I'm like, you'd have a lot of content to catch up on. But that being said, it is My Hero Academia, season 3. Now, just to kind of explain for those who haven't seen My Hero Academia, for the weeboos or the non-weeboos out there, the anime is about a world full of superheroes and supervillains, and one of the few people on the planet who does not have a superpower. I think it's 90% of the population has powers and this one kid doesn't. And so he's been gifted with the power of the greatest superhero of them all, All Might, who is in this universe. And basically this season really delves into the relationship between Deku, our main character, and Bakuga, who is basically the Vegeta of the show, where he's a villain, but he's kind of good, but he's still an asshole. He always wants to fight the good guy. And it really emphasizes what it truly means to sacrifice and to be a hero. Deku is a character that has grown a lot and developed his powers to where he isn't immediately breaking his limbs whenever he tries to do anything. Because that's one of the cool things I like about My Hero Academia is that every time he tries to use his powers because his body cannot handle them because he wasn't born with superpowers, he breaks his arm when he punches something, or if he jumps too high, he breaks his legs and shit. So it's kind of fucked up and gory a little bit sometimes, but it's really fucking good. The fight between All Might and All For One is one of the most epic fights in anime that I've seen in a long fucking time. This anime is a mix of X-Men, Harry Potter, and Spy Kids. And when I say Spy Kids, I mean that in the best way. Because I knew when I wrote this down, I'm like, if I say Spy Kids, people are going to be like, nope, I'm not watching that shit. But no, I mean that in a good way.
If you talk about Spy Kids, the original, then...
Yeah, not the
any
Adventures of Shark Boy and Lava Girl and all that bullshit.
Fuck all that. The first one was decent.
Sure.
I'll give you that.
Okay. If you like any of those things, then I would definitely say go check this out. My Hero Academia is definitely worth your time. And I even think like people who may not necessarily be anime fans, like I said, if you like Harry Potter or anything like that, because there's a high school where they train you to be a superhero, and then you get an internship and you get to go out and fight with other heroes and shit like that. It's a good
legit
show.
I'd watch it.
Think maybe instead of Spy Kids, maybe Sky High.
Okay.
If you remember that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, something more like that, I guess, would be more appropriate. But anyway,
okay.
That's my last one.
Okay.
I
would check it out.
Yeah, so that's our list of best things from 2018. Now, next week, we're going to do this one more time, but it will be the worst of 2018. So
I had no problems with that list.
I'm going to have a hard time getting it down to just 5, an honorable mention, to be honest with you. Like Ben said earlier, there was a lot of shit that I hated this year, and I'm like, it's going to be hard trying to dilute it down to just 6 things. Yeah,
I was picking my best, and as hard as it was for me to sort out the best, I just kept thinking, I went ahead and I wrote my bad list, or my worst list for next week already.
Okay. Nice.
I am way ahead of the game because let me tell you, there are some things on my worst list that when we talk about them, you both are going to be like, yes, that was horrible.
Okay. We just saw a movie. Let's talk about it now. Can I get sued for that? Is Blue's Clues still a thing?
Yeah, I think it still is.
Oh, well. No one listens to this. I won't get sued. I hope not.
Probably will.
Yeah, well. I'm already waiting for my lawsuit from whoever wrote the Here Comes Santa Claus song, because I used that last week.
Yeah.
We'll see. Anywho, we saw a movie, the Netflix original film, Bird Box, which, before we get into the review, I just want to say, I have never in my life seen something go viral this quickly.
Like I said, when I saw the news article, it said over 45 million people had watched it since it came out.
Well, even before I had even seen that, it was all over social media, like
all
Facebook,
the memes,
Twitter, Instagram. There's memes everywhere, and I'm just like, what the fuck? I'm not gonna lie. When I first saw the name, I thought it was a porn.
Oh my god!
I was like, what is Bird Box? I was like, because it sounds like a porno name or some shit. It does. It sounds like a porn.
Okay.
I watch enough porn. I know that sounds like a porno name. Not only that, but I thought it was like maybe like, I don't know, like a rapper that put out a mixtape or something, because the way, especially like for those of you who don't know, there's a thing called Black Twitter, and it's like just basically stuff to do with like African American culture and shit like that. That's more centric to that. And I swear, like, every black person I know was talking about this shit. Like, Tupac put out a new album or some shit. It was like, oh, you got to get on that Bird Box. It's fire. And I'm just like, what the fuck are they talking about? So we finally saw it, and now we know what the whole hubbub was about. Trying to think of how we're going to do this. It wasn't a theatrical release, and like you said, over 45 million accounts have seen it. That could be one person per account. That could be multiple people. So it could be 100 million people have seen it for all we know. That being said, we're still going to do it mullet style. We're going to do non-spoilers in the front, spoilers in the back. So if you have not seen Bird Box yet and you don't want to have the movie spoiled for you, you can listen to the first half of this review. We will make it very obvious when we go into spoiler territory. So if you don't want to have the movie spoiled for you, you can check out then and come back and listen to this once you've seen it. Or if you don't care, you can just listen to the whole thing. No problem either way. So to give a quick synopsis, actually I'm going to steal this from our friends over at Beside a Geek. Stork always makes Peacock do the synopsis for the movie, so I'm going to have you give a small synopsis of what the movie is about. Without spoiling anything, Just the fear in her eyes, if you can see it. Just give me just a general what the movie's about.
Well, we see in the first part of the movie, there's like this, I don't even know if I want to call it like apocalyptic like thing going on, like mass suicides all over like Russia and Europe or whatever. And that's like how the movie starts out, and the people just have to figure out how to survive, basically.
And what is the whole gimmick of this particular movie?
There's like this creature or demon you can't look at, or you'll become suicidal, I guess. So
you guess. No,
you will.
Proven at that point.
You will and die, and you can't look at it or look at the light or go outside, so you have to keep blindfolded.
Yep. A lot of people have compared this movie to A Quiet Place. Now, we have not seen A Quiet Place.
We talked about watching it last night.
Yeah, and we didn't. But just because I was like, well, we watched something that's kind of similar just the other day, so I'm like, I don't want to do two movies like that in a row. But it's been compared to A Quiet Place so far as in there's creatures and one of your senses can't be used. In A Quiet Place, it was sound. In this movie, you can't look at it. And that was one of the memes that people had talked about, in that they was like, I'm waiting for the movie to come out where if you smell the creature, you die. Or if you taste it, you die. Ugh, that'd be kind of weird.
Can't go to no restaurants no more, can't eat, so you will die.
Yeah. That would be a porno. If you taste it, you die.
Wow.
Anyway, so just our general thoughts on it. I thought that it was a good supernatural suspense thriller. I liked that it had a lot of mystery. You don't find out, like what Amber explained about the creatures and not being able to look at them. You find that out within the first few minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
But then the story kind of, progresses and evolves from there, and other elements become a obstacle as the movie goes on. I did like the plot progression. It gives you like just enough information, but not enough to fully explain everything, but enough to keep you guessing and keep you engaged and want to know like what's going to happen next. Like, okay, how are they going to survive this? What is causing this? Is there a way around this? Like, can they find a way to use this handicap to their advantage somehow? I really thought the way that the story unfolded, and this isn't really a spoiler, but we do time jumps.
Yeah, I was going to say that they keep bouncing back between when it first started to the present.
Yeah. What is it?
5 years.
Yeah. It starts off in the quote unquote present day, and then we do a time jump to 5 years ago, and it just keeps jumping back and forth. What did you feel about the cast? How did you feel about
You already know.
Yeah, well,
it's got Sandra Bullock in it, so
I was just gonna say that it's funny because a couple of weeks ago, in one of our Ask Us Anything questions, somebody asked, who did I think was like an overrated actor?
Bullshit.
And I said Sandra Bullock, and I'm kind of got to eat crow because I really enjoyed her in this. I don't, and like I said when I explained my answer, I don't dislike Sandra Bullock on principle, I guess, but I do think that she's just kind of I mean, she's all right. She's never done anything where I was just like, oh my god, that performance was just so great, and it was just like, she's okay.
There's one movie that she's in that you just absolutely despise.
Oh, The Heat. Yeah, I cannot stand her. And her nor I don't like Melissa McCarthy.
No, you don't.
But them two together, I'm like, oh no,
comedy gold.
No. I'd much rather watch The Proposal over The Heat any day, and I don't even care for that movie. But anyway, I digress. Outside of Sandra Bullock, we had John Malkovich. I forget the guy's name, but he is the friend character from Get Out. Yeah. The one that comes to save him at the end.
There was the girl from the other Netflix original movie, Dumpling.
Yep.
That I just watched.
Machine Gun Kelly
was
is randomly in this movie for some reason. Like, I guess, okay. And the guy who plays Tom, I can't remember his name either, but I really liked him. I think
I liked his character.
He seems to be like a new up and coming actor too, because he's been in like a few other things, and I've liked him from what I have seen him in so far. It's a good mix, I think, between like well-known, established, like acclaimed actors, and then kind of like some not so well-known kind of character actors.
The cast works well together.
Yeah. And nobody, even though it centers on Sandra Bullock's character, there was no one person that felt like they took the limelight from anybody else per se. Like everybody kind of got their time to shine throughout the movie, and I did like that. Now, some characters are in the movie longer than others. B.D. Wong is in it as well, the guy who owns the house.
Oh, yeah.
He's in it. I like him as well.
Wasn't his name like John?
Maybe. I have some of the characters' names in my notes, but, like, I will remember the actor's name before I'll remember the character's name in a heartbeat, unless they just say their name over and over again and it sticks. I did like how unexpected and creative the deaths were in the movie, because like we said, when you see the demons or creatures or whatever you want to call them, you are compelled to commit suicide. And some of the ways the people killed themselves in the movie was really like creative.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, and unexpected, because there's a few where I was just like, oh god, like I did not see that coming at all. And then others where it's kind of like obvious, like people have compared it to the movie The Happening. It's this M. Night Shyamalan movie with Mark Wahlberg and your girl from New Girl in it, Zooey Deschanel. And where basically the plants and like the environment like put out this pheromone to make people want to kill themselves.
Damn.
And there's like a scene where a guy just lays down in front of his ride mower and lets it run over him and shit. Yeah. Like that, it had some kind of a similar thing to that, but this movie is actually based off a book. And the book came out before, like, The Happening and A Quiet Place and that kind of stuff. So, if anything, those movies are kind of taking from
So, Bird Box, the original.
Yeah, it just took them forever to make it into an actual movie. But I did like it. It was creative, kind of like in the ways that the Final Destination deaths are creative. Not so much the whole Rube Goldberg machine, where it's like the sequence of events that leads to somebody dying. But it was just like, there were some ones where it was like, obvious like what they were going to do, because it was like, hey, whatever they had in their hand at that moment when they saw the demons, that's how they were going to kill themselves. And then there was other times where it was like, if they didn't have something obviously that they could get to, that they still found a different way to kill themselves.
Yeah,
I thought that was really cool. I did like the sense of dread in this and not knowing like what would happen next, because it's a bottleneck survival film, a post-apocalyptic bottleneck survival film, and so you know that the end goal for the characters is to try to live through this somehow and figure out how to survive, but because the premise doesn't give you a whole lot of information in the beginning, I never really knew like, okay, how is this going to play out from here? Like, how are they going to survive in this house? How are they going to, get food if they can't see, they can't go outside? Yeah. It was really, it kept me guessing the whole time, and I like that. And I know that you don't necessarily like science fiction-y movies per se.
No, but I liked this one.
Yeah, but I mean, as far as the world that they set up and what they established for the rules and stuff, like, how did you feel about? It didn't
feel like it was beating you on the head with science fiction.
No, that's fair. That's fair. Because
felt more realistic.
Yeah, because it's really more about the characters.
Yes.
And less so about the creatures and stuff. I mean, yes, they obviously play a big part in the story.
But it wasn't the whole thing.
Right. It was more about, and I think that's what good post-apocalyptic stories do, is the zombies or the creatures or whatever it may be in that story, they kind of just set up the stakes, and then it's more about how these people react to that and how they go forward from there. Like, one of my favorite post-apocalyptic movies is 28 Days Later. Not because, of the zombies and stuff like that, but how the humans try to survive and what they do that's good and bad to survive.
Yeah.
Like I think that's what makes good stories like that. They were very creative as well with how they got around not being able to see. It's one of those things where, because we can see, unless you're blind, unfortunately, sorry, but unless, you don't have any kind of visual impairment, it's hard to really imagine how you would survive without being able to see, because we're so dependent on sight. And the movie does a good job of making it believable of how they would get from point A to point B without being able to look at anything while they were outside.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for the most part, as long as you were indoors, you were okay. You could, you didn't have to wear a blindfold and stuff like that. But if you were outside and exposed to the outdoors, then it became a problem.
Yeah.
Which we'll get to it in the spoiler area, but which was kind of one of my issues with it, because I was kind of like, well, do the creatures not know how to use doorknobs? Or I'm not really sure how that worked exactly. But again, we'll talk about it a little bit more in the spoiler section. I think overall, if you enjoy movies like The Thing or Signs or The Mist, anything like that, you'll probably enjoy this. Like I said, it's a good character study during a post-apocalyptic setting, and overall, the characters are good. I like the plot progression, and I think that it's a nice little thriller.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if this could have worked in theaters. I think it could, but not so close to A Quiet Place.
I think it was better since you got to watch it at home. And
sure, but you think everything is better.
I
when you
know.
can watch it at home. But I mean, I think if this came out in 2019, like this year, as opposed to last year, I think if more time had been in between those two movies, it would have probably been good as a theatrical release. But I think it did just fine on Netflix as it is. I mean, because there's clearly a good amount of people who seen it on Netflix. So, I don't
Plus, I bet you Netflix is making bank from all the people who don't have Netflix wanting to watch it.
Yeah, because it became such a cultural phenomenon that I think people probably got Netflix subscriptions who didn't have it just to see
I'm sure.
the movie. So, rating time. What would you rate this? And now, just for those of you at home who have not listened to a review of ours before, our rating system goes from, it's a 5-tier rating system. It is really fucking liked it, meh, hated it, and really fucking hated it. Where would you rate Bird Box?
I really fucking liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reasons?
I just thought it was a good movie. I liked the cast. I liked the plot. It kept my attention through the whole movie.
That's saying a lot, yeah.
So, I really liked it.
I will echo your statement. I really fucking liked it as well. For all the reasons that I said before, and it was a pleasant surprise, especially because I was kind of worried that by the time I seen it, because I had seen so many memes and seen so many people talk about it. I didn't have anything spoiled for me per se, but I had just seen, I had been exposed to it so much before I actually watched it. I felt like the hype had been built up so much to where I was going to go, nothing that I see is going to live up to my expectations, because people have just built it up into this big crazy thing. But I was pleasantly surprised. I was rather entertained.
Yeah.
So now that we've got that out of the way, if you have seen the movie, you can go ahead and stay for the spoiler section. If you have not seen it, I would say to go ahead and turn this off now and go watch Bird Box and then come back and listen to the rest. Or if you don't care, you can go right ahead and sit on back. But we are going to go into spoilers, so insert siren sound here. Okay, you have been warned. This is your opportunity. Go back out now. Okay. So, the woman in the hospital, towards the beginning of the movie, Sandra Bullock's character, we find out that she's pregnant and she is
going to the hospital to get a checkup or an ultrasound.
Yeah, and she doesn't want to know the sex of the baby.
And she's with her sister.
Yep. She hasn't picked out a name or anything. And
she basically doesn't want to have anything to do with this pregnancy.
Yeah, she was saying that she was worried that she wouldn't love the child and stuff like that because I guess the guy who got her pregnant kind of just ran off and left her. And so she's kind of apprehensive about having the baby in the first place. And before she goes to the hospital, her sister tells her about, this mass suicides that have been happening in like Russia and Europe.
And it was all over the news.
Yeah, she was kind of like oblivious to it. And she goes to the hospital, gets her ultrasound, and then as she's leaving, there's a woman in the hallway who I believe we saw earlier as they were walking through the hall going to the hospital, the appointment. She's on her phone, kind of by the window, talking to her friend or whatever. And then later when she comes back out, she's like slamming her fucking head against the window. And that first 10 minutes, that scene right there put me on the edge of my seat. And I was like, okay, this is not what I was expecting it to be. Like, I knew that people would be killing themselves, but I didn't think it was going to be like that. And that really freaked me out in the beginning and kind of prepared me for what we were going to be getting into going forward for the rest of the movie. I think that really did a good job of setting the tone for how the rest of the film was going to play out past that. Now, Sandra Bullock, she's a painter.
Yeah.
And she's kind of like a loner. Like, she doesn't really talk to her family a whole lot.
No, she doesn't talk to her mom at all.
Yeah, her sister's trying to get her to get out the house to come see this, like, horse that she's wanting to buy or something like that. And, she's kind of like a introvert and really keeps to herself and stuff like that. But she knew how to handle a weapon somehow.
Yeah.
That they never explain what her background is or anything like that, but she handles the shotgun pretty damn good. and I was just like, okay, well, hey, because John Malkovich's character, Douglas, he says like, oh, you don't even know how to use that thing. And she like unloads all the shells onto the floor and shit and just throws him the gun. And I was like, oh, wow, okay.
You're jumping. You gotta, like, the movie starts out when they leave the hospital and she sees that woman slamming her head on the glass and they get in the car and her sister starts driving and they start seeing all these people freaking out. And then, like, it looked like her sister was okay, but then she gets this look in her eye that everyone else does when this thing takes over their body. And she like gets out of the car after it gets all crazy and it flips.
Well, first off, she starts saying, "What the fuck is that? What the fuck is that?" And Sandra Bullock's trying to get her phone in the back seat so she doesn't see it when her sister does.
Yeah.
And then she just starts trying to crash the car and shit. Yeah.
And once they crash the car, her sister gets out and Sandra Bullock's laying on the ground and you worry about her baby and whatnot. And then like she goes out into traffic and just steps out in front of
her sister does,
dump truck.
It was like
trash
a garbage truck. Yeah. She just walks right out into it. Yeah. And it's that scene really threw me off because we see Sandra Bullock's character get into a car crash that flips over. She gets like knocked down and trampled over by people multiple times. And her baby's fine. Yeah. Like later in the movie, she has a baby. The baby doesn't have any kind of birth defects. No learning disabilities, nothing. I thought she was going to have a miscarriage and the baby was going to die because she falls flat on her stomach like twice.
I think so, yeah.
After the car accident. Yeah. And I'm just like, Jesus Christ, man. She resilient as shit. John Malkovich's character, though, he's upset at Mallory because
Sandra Bullock.
Yeah, because his wife goes outside to try and help her because she's like, oh, she's pregnant, this, that, and the other, and she goes to help her up, and then she sees one of the creatures, the demons, is what I got them as in my notes. And there's this car that's on fire, and she's like, Mom, is that you? And then she just like walks up to the car, opens the door, and just sits in the car while it's on fire and just sits there and burns to death.
Yeah.
I thought it would have been funny if she'd closed the door too, but she just kind of just sits in there and burns up. And Douglas is just looking like in shock, and he's just like, what the fuck? And then Tom, he picks up Mallory, and they both run into the house together. And Douglas is like, no, don't let them in, and we think his name's John. He says, no, this is my house, I gotta let him in. And they come inside. He was like, she died trying to save you.
Yeah.
Know? So for the rest of the movie, he's kind of resentful towards Mallory because
his wife is dead.
Was killed trying to save her. Not like it was Mallory's fault or anything like that, but he's an asshole, so he don't care. He was an asshole from the start of the movie, but I did kind of understand to a degree why he was angry about his wife, though, because it was like as the movie progresses, he says a lot of things and makes a lot of decisions that the other characters don't agree with, and we as the audience aren't supposed to agree with either. But I had a struggle with this movie because I kept kind of agreeing with him and going like, he kind of had a point. Because every time he was like, don't do this, we should do that. Everybody was like, no, no, no. And then by the end, it's like, if they would have did what he said, they would have probably been okay.
Yeah.
And then we find out he's an alcoholic too.
Yep. He likes to drink.
Yeah, which that becomes problematic. But they try, and what I was saying before about the creative ways that they try to get around not being able to see. They try to use like the closed circuit television cameras around the house to see the creatures. And John, the owner of the house, he's like, I'll nominate myself to do this, and strap me down to a chair so I can't hurt myself. And his theory is, oh, well, we're not looking directly at it with our naked eye. It's it's like a filter, pretty much. We're just looking at pixels and heat and heat signatures and shit. And he's like, we can, we should be able to do this and still be okay. That clearly does not work.
Nope.
He immediately kills himself. Now they have him strapped to the chair, so he can't like get up and stab himself or anything like that. So he just keeps rocking back and forth until he hits his head on like the side of a
like table or something.
And just bleeds out and dies. And I was like, fuck. So yeah, that doesn't work. A little bit later on in the film, Olympia is the lady's name. They let her into the house, and she is also pregnant.
Like, pretty much dead on to where Sandra Bullock is.
Yeah, I think they were supposed to be like a few months apart.
No, they were like September, October.
Okay. But still, later on they have the baby simultaneously, so I guess it really didn't matter. But Olympia, she wants to try and befriend Sandra Bullock's character, Mallory, but Mallory's not having it. She's really distant from her. And like we said before, she's an introvert, so she really prefers to be alone and doesn't really want to connect with the other people there. She's really like hands-offish with Tom, the guy who saved her, and he's trying to be nice to her, and she's kind of like fuck off and all this other stuff. And she feels guilty because after her sister dies, she keeps trying to contact her mother, who she wouldn't talk to earlier in the movie, but she can't get a hold of her.
Yeah.
And it's like, that kind of gives her this guilt trip for a good chunk of the beginning because she can't deal with the fact that now she probably will never talk to her mother again.
Exactly.
One of the things about the movie that was an interesting twist, and what we talked about in a non-spoiler section about how there are things that develop later on, is that not everyone who sees the demons immediately kill themselves.
Yeah.
There are some people who actually are fine. And, well, fine in the sense that they don't kill themselves, but
they try to get other people to kill themselves.
Well, they try to get other people to look.
Yeah.
Because they keep saying, like, oh, it's beautiful, you have to see, and they, like, literally their life's mission is to go around and unblindfold people or expose them to the demons. Now, the characters who this happens to all seem to be crazy.
Like they said, the psychiatric hospital, those people.
Yeah, the people from Northwood, they weren't affected by it. The guy at the supermarket, Fish Fingers, he, Charlie's character, says that he used to be in prison, and he kind of had, like, mental illness or something like that, and he's not affected the same way. He just wants to make other people look. And Gary, which we don't know what his story is.
I have no idea.
Yeah, which it was funny because when we were watching it, I told Amber, I was like, I might have really fucking liked it unless they pull some shit to make me, turned off to it. And he was the one thing that kind of soured me a little bit to the movie.
I did not like Gary.
Yeah, not that I didn't like him. I mean, I think he served his purpose, but how it played out, I was like, wait a minute, how did that work? Because, okay, and I'll get to it in a little bit to try and explain. But beyond that, I really liked the driving scene.
Mm-hmm. When they try to go to the supermarket.
Mm-hmm. That was really creative with them using the GPS and like the proximity sensors on the car.
And they blacked out the windows with paint.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was really effective because you could tell that this wasn't a real big budget movie and that they kind of had to do some camera tricks and things like that to achieve what they needed to. And I thought it was really effective by having the proximity sensors, you know, going like, okay, there's something in front of us, and it was one of the demons, and then like the ones in the back go off, and then the sides, and like the whole car is surrounded and shit. Like that was really cool.
Yeah.
It was a cool way to let the audience have like this moment of fear without literally showing you anything. You know,
like when they were rolling over people, like dead bodies in the street.
Yeah, Tom's like, oh, that was just
It was
a
a speed bump.
and they can hear the squish in the car when they like crush their head, and they're like, that's not a fucking speed bump.
No.
But I mean, he was the most, you know, probably well prepared of all the characters for this too, because he had been in the military and stuff, and you know, he kind of tells stories about that to Mallory, and so he was kind of more put together than everybody else. Though, with any of these kind of bottleneck movies, you know, you always have this like diverse groups of people, but eventually the group starts to fall apart, as it always does. And two of the characters, Felix the stoner and Lucy the cop, they don't like each other initially, and then they end up fucking within like the first couple of days and shit.
Yeah.
Because she's like stretching or whatever, and he comes and he looks at her, and she's like, oh, you know, don't even think about it. And he's like, well, you know, it's the end of the world. You never know what might happen. And then like the very next time we see them, they fucking, and I'm like, that was quick as
like
shit.
when Lucy came back from the supermarket, he's like, I missed you or whatever. He
yeah, but
like
they
gave
had
her
already
a
been fucking by that point. Because she saw that before they ran out of food. Because when she said she's going to go, that's why he was like, no, you're not going to go. Yeah, so they had already started fucking around. That's what I said. It was like 2 days, and then they were fucking, and I was like, well, geez, that didn't take long at all. But they fuck off and steal the car and ditch everybody else. And that was one of the biggest things that made me mad in the movie, because I was like, that is some dirty ass shit. And I wanted them to get their comeuppance, but we never see them again.
No.
And I had a theory as the movie was going on, and we find out about the people who are like going around in groups trying to unblindfold people and shit. I was like, oh, they're going to end up being one of those people. And they're gonna come back later and try and get them to look, and then we'll get to see them get killed, so we get that satisfaction of killing off them characters. Nope. Nope.
Never saw them again.
Nope. They said, fuck you. They are just gone. So I guess if we ever get a Bird Box 2 and see, you know, what happened to Felix and Lucy, bitches. Which it really surprised me that Felix even, you know, agreed to do that, because he was too scared to even go to the store.
Yeah.
But yet he was just like, okay, me and you are just going to run off together. And it didn't make sense why.
No.
It's like,
it was just out of the blue.
Yeah, because it was like they didn't take any of the supplies. It's like they took some blankets or some shit.
Yeah, and
but
pillows.
It didn't look like they had food or anything.
Looks like they had pillows. That was it.
And it was like, where are y'all even going to go?
Live in the car.
Yeah, like, I don't know. Like, that part was kind of dumb. Olympia was the weak link. And,
the weak link.
Yeah, of the group. And Douglas was kind of like a borderline psychopath. It's fucked up because, like I said, he does some shitty shit throughout the movie, but he's kind of right a lot of the time. And I was like, you know, maybe y'all should have just listened to Douglas. Because Olympia, I say she's the weak link because she even says in the story, like, oh, I'm soft, like, you know, my parents were...
Yeah, they gave her too much love.
Yeah, they spoiled me, and then my husband took care of me, and this, that, and the other, and I'm just a bitch-ass bitch, pretty much. So much so to the point where she is the one who lets Gary in, and which in turn leads to them all being killed, besides Mallory, Tom, and the babies, because of Olympia being a fucking dumbass and shit. To the point where she went like out of her way to not tell anybody that she was letting that dude
Oh,
in.
yeah.
Like, she just like, okay, well, you got to be quiet and this, that, and the other and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, they're immediately going to know that someone new was there. Like, he's not going to blend in like, oh, yeah, I've been here all the time. You guys just forgot about me?
And some we didn't explain. When they went to the supermarket, Mallory finds these birds, and we find out that whenever these demons are near, the birds can sense it. So they start chirping and stuff. And it was weird because when Gary was around the birds, they didn't make any noise.
And I'm going to get to that in a little bit because I do have some questions that I think I might have some answers for that they don't directly answer in the movie, but some are just never answered, and I have no idea why it happened that way. But no, you're right. I felt bad for Douglas, though, because he was right pretty much the whole time. He says a line where there are two kinds of people, assholes and the dead. And he was kind of right because he says when they're in the supermarket, we can just stay here. We have everything we need here to survive, yada, yada. And they're like, no, which honestly, they should have stayed at the supermarket.
Oh, yeah.
Because he was right.
He was very right.
Now, granted, I felt like they could have went back and got the others from the house and just brought them to the supermarket and just fortified that place and just lived there for as long as they could.
Yeah.
Eventually, they would have had to have left, sure. But I feel like they could have stockpiled what they had and lived off of the non-perishable goods for a decent amount of time. Mallory, now after Gary flips shit and kills everybody and the babies are born or whatever, Mallory and Tom, they find a way to survive with the children for 5 years. And eventually they do run out of supplies because they've gone to like all the houses, surrounding houses in the neighborhood and kind of ransacked them for everything that they could. And now they're to the point where it's like, okay, we have to figure out something. We can't stay here anymore. We have to move on somewhere else. Tom talks to somebody, Rick, I think his name is, on the radio. He says, we have this sanctuary, but you have to go down the river to get here, and yada, yada, yada. And it's this whole thing that Tom, he wants to risk leaving, but Mallory doesn't. And Tom is basically like, we have to figure out a way to keep living, and we can't stay here forever. Yeah. Now what's fucked up is one of the kids is Mallory's child, and one of the kids is Olympia's. And because Mallory is so distant and doesn't want to have any kind of human connection and is only focused on survival, which again kind of threw me off because I was like, how did her character get into this like crazy survival mode place? Because she did not start off like that.
No.
And there is no like real progression to that. It's just like a flip or a switch flips and then she's just, fucking the Terminator and shit. It's like, all right. But she won't even name the fucking kids. It's just
girl
boy and girl.
Yeah, girl and boy.
And I was like, that's kind of shitty.
And these kids are 5 years old and don't even have names.
Nope. And I'm like, God damn.
Don't call her mom. Just call her Mallory and Tom.
Yep. Now, eventually, it gets to the point where Tom convinces Mallory, like, okay, we have to try and get the fuck out of here. And so they start kind of preparing the kids. And they've already been training them how to recognize sounds and how to get around with the blindfolds and stuff like that. So they have some basic survival skills, but they've never really been out on their own before. Yeah. Unfortunately, one of their supply runs goes wrong, and Tom has to be a distraction because the group of the psychos show up. And so Mallory and the kids have to run off, and Tom has to kind of fight them off and protect them.
So sad, because in the house, they're like, they found a box of Pop-Tarts that were God knows how old.
5 years at least.
They're like, this is what strawberry tastes like. And they all share a Pop-Tart as a family. It was so sad. And then, like Mike was saying, they have to go out and they try to venture out, and these people, the crazy people, find them.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Tom does get exposed during that fight. But he was able to, and he's the only person that does this in the whole movie, but he was able to fight it off just long enough to kill the guy who was going after Mallory and the kids.
Yeah, and he killed all of them so they wouldn't go after her and the kids.
but he was the only person who saw the demon and didn't immediately because he like was like shaking and
his
struggling
eyes
to point
were
the gun,
going crazy.
Yeah, and I was just like, so that kind of threw me off too. I was like, so, and I mean, it's a movie; these things happen. They got to make it dramatic or whatever. But I was like, you know, you've kind of already set a precedence that, you know, you immediately just go crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But Tom was like, must save Mallory, and I'm just like, that wouldn't happen like that. But I mean, you know, I enjoyed it so much up until that point that I didn't let that bother me.
Yeah.
We haven't really talked about the whole river ride. That all that stuff in the present day with the river stuff, I like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's real tense because you know it's going to be a rough journey.
Rick even said like children probably won't survive.
Yeah, and he said that there's rapids on the river and that somebody would have to look.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't be able to steer it. You know, he's like, we've lost a lot of people trying to come down here, and
you have to know which way and where the rocks are.
Where to steer and everything else. And it's just Mallory and the kids, and Mallory has to choose which of the children will guide them through the rapids. And it's kind of this thing that we're building to. It keeps cutting back and forth, but we know like eventually she's going to have to pick one of the kids. Now the boy is Mallory's and the girl is Olympia's child. And she already has an issue with little Olympia because she tries to go and save Mallory or find her when she hears Mallory's in trouble. And Mallory's like, don't you look for me, this, that, and the other. She was like, if something happens to me, you save yourself and you just go and you just try to survive. And I'm like, they're 5-year-old kids, man. They can't make it on their own.
Oh, no.
I'm like, they've never even been outside for longer than like maybe 10 minutes at a time. They cannot do this without you. So it honestly would be better for y'all all to just die together than for you to be like, oh, you just live. And it's like, nah, they would not make it. They wouldn't make it one night on their own. That being said, it seems as though Mallory is going to pick Olympia to look, but then eventually she's just like, you know what? I actually do care about them and love them as my own children. And she's like, no one's going to look. We're just going to do this together and just hope for the best. Like, fuck it. Which I thought that was admirable. I really like that kind of character turn with her because she did turn a corner at that point.
Yeah.
The rapids are terrible.
The boat flips.
Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm. Well, go ahead.
Well, the boat flips and they're all just left in the river, just swimming, and she finds boy and gets him to shore, and then she's screaming for girl, but she was already laying on the shore, and she was scared that she had taken her blindfold off, but she hadn't.
Well, it came off, but she still had her eyes
closed.
She
closed her eyes.
And she was just kind of ringing her bell, which I didn't know why she wasn't yelling. Like, why? I'm like,
they gave them the bells.
Yeah, but she kept calling out to her, but she wouldn't respond. She just rang the bell.
She's probably scared.
I guess. But, go ahead.
Then once they get off, like, on the shore and everything, they tell them, well, Rick told Tom and Mallory that their community had a big gate, and once you heard the birds, to go towards the sound of the birds, because that's where they were, because the birds would let them know if there was a demon around. So they start going through the woods and whatnot, trying to find this place.
And she loses track of the kids because she falls. And then, you know, and one thing that we haven't mentioned is that the demons can
like call out,
like mimic people from your life and try and convince you. It's like, oh, it's Tom. He's like, please help me. I just need you to look. Just take off your blindfold, this, that, and the other. And she's like, you're not real. Like, I know Tom is fucking dead. Like, and even if he's not dead, there's no way in hell he's all the way where we're at now. We've been on the river for 2 days. Like, there's no way in hell he made it this far. So, yeah. But that was one of the other parts of the movie that kind of threw me off, because can the demons actually hurt them on their own? Because all throughout the movie, the demons don't actually do anything to anyone.
No.
They kind of make the leaves in your hair raise and shit and float. And they're all like, oh, and creepy sounding, but they never actually like attack you. Like, once you see them, you just kill yourself.
Yeah.
So I kind of didn't get by the end where it's like chasing them and shit, and like the woods are going all crazy, and I'm just like, so can the demons hurt them now?
Probably not.
And if that was the case, why didn't they do all this shit before? It's like, that's why it threw me off, because I'm like, can they not open doors? Or like they can't just go underneath like the seam and cracks of the house and shit? Like I don't know, that threw me off. Because we never actually see the demons, but we do see Gary's drawings of them.
Yeah.
And all his drawings are different, though. They don't all look the same. So it's like, is this what they look like? Or do they each look different to different people? Or do they shapeshift? Or I didn't get that. But because we never actually see them, we have no idea what they look like. By the end, they do get to the sanctuary and come to find out it is a school for the blind.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a mixed bag of blind children who were already at the school and sighted people who made it there. And they all live together there's this like bird sanctuary in the yard, and it's like enclosed. So the birds act as like a warning system for the sighted people, but the blind people are safe because they can't see.
Mm-hmm.
Which made me wonder, I'm like, so would the crazy people just kill them then, since they can't make them look?
I don't know, or are they just safe?
Yeah, because at first I didn't think that the crazy people killed. I just thought they were just trying to get you to look. But Gary kills Douglas.
Yeah.
He tries to kill Tom.
He kills the old woman.
No, she kills herself.
Oh.
Remember, he makes her open her eyes and she stabs herself in the neck with the scissors. Olympia, he exposes her to the window, and she just... like, she's getting ready to, like, jump out the window with the baby, but then Mallory somehow... And again, that was another moment where it was like, why are they pausing now when everybody else... Because remember, at the very beginning, when the lady's hitting her head on the window, the nurse is trying to stop her, and she just pushes her off and just keeps doing it.
Yeah.
But when when Olympia was getting ready to jump out the window, Mallory gets her to stop long enough to give her the baby. And I was like, well, why didn't she just immediately book it and jump out the window like everybody else did?
The baby needed to be alive.
Yeah, but I was like, it was a little contrived. I was like, you've established these rules, and then you're kind of bending them and breaking them when you want to have a moment for a character, like in the case of Tom. But yeah, so by the end, she meets the doctor again from the beginning of the movie, and I feel like she was just playing. Like, oh, I do love these kids. She's like, what's your name? He's like, boy and girl. And she's like, no, your name is Olympia, for the most, beautiful, kindest person I've ever met. And your name is Tom, for like the bravest man I've ever known. And yada, yada. And it was like, don't be trying to front in front of the doctor and shit. You ain't give a fuck about them kids till about 5 minutes ago. I was like, get the fuck out of here.
That was so sad and sweet.
I was like, you was finna let that little girl die on the river like 10 minutes ago. And now all of a sudden it's like, your name's Olympia. Which that was one of the memes people talked about. It was like, Olympia was talking about how she wanted to name her daughter after like a Disney princess, and then she just completely goes against her wishes and names her Olympia. And it's like, all right, that was kind of like a slap in the face. Like, bitch, you knew what I wanted to name my kid. Now I'm going to get to the questions part. Okay. So, first, what are the creatures? Like, they never explain what they are. Now, Charlie, he gives an explanation of they're kind of these, like, demons that exist all throughout, each culture's mythology, and basically it's like some end of the world thing that the human race is being judged, and the creatures, make your deepest fears manifest, to you. And I guess that's maybe why people are killing themselves. Because in the case of Douglas's wife, she sees her dead mother, and then she's compelled to kill herself. We don't know what Mallory's sister sees. She just says, what the fuck is that? And then she kills herself, or tries to crash a car and then walks into traffic later. So we never definitively know what the creatures are or where they come from. And apparently, in the book, it doesn't explain it either. And the screenwriter for the movie talked to the author about it. And one of the first questions that they asked is, well, where do the creatures come from? And the author says, oh, I have no idea. So they had no intention on ever explaining what the creatures were, how it worked, or anything like that. Because, again, like I said, the movie isn't about the creatures. It's about the people and how they deal with this. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the birds. Okay. my question was, why didn't the birds freak out on Gary? But they did to Fish Fingers and to the guy who was on the river who tries to make Sandra Bullock and the kids take their mask off. The birds freaked out every time. But when Gary shows up, they even make it a point to look over at the birds when they're questioning Gary, and they don't do anything. And my possible answer to this is that the birds only sense when the demons are nearby, and they can't tell when someone's possessed, because Gary puts the birds in the freezer before he opens the windows. So my thinking there is he knew that the demons were going to show up once he opened the windows, and he knew that if he didn't put the birds in the freezer, they would hear him freaking out and know that something was wrong.
Yeah.
So they couldn't necessarily sense the guy on the river. They didn't necessarily sense Fish Fingers. It was just that the demons were close by when they were showing up, and that's why the birds freaked out. So that kind of explains that. But my other question is, why were the other people who got possessed like immediately into trying to make you look, but Gary kind of just played it off? Like, because remember when they first let him in the house, his eyes weren't all crazy and shit like everybody else. Yeah, he was just like, oh no. And he has this whole story about how the crazy people tried to make them look and yada yada. The only thing I can think is maybe he was one of the people from Northwoods. Maybe. And he just took somebody's suit and was just pretending to, you know.
That's a possibility.
Because nothing else really made sense. But yeah, his character threw me off, and that was the one thing about the movie that I did not like, because I felt like that didn't make sense. Everybody else was like immediately like, oh, we finna make you look, we're gonna kill you if you don't. And Gary was just like, oh no, everything's fine here. It's like, oh, y'all going to go deliver some babies? I'm gonna go turn on some classical music and put out all these creepy ass drawings and then go lose my shit. So that kind of threw me off, because I was like, how is he just playing it off? And is it just like a switch you can turn off and on? Like, I didn't get that. One of the other things, we already kind of talked about it, you know, Felix and Lucy, like what happened with them, we never find out again. I was hoping that they would come back as a possessed person so Tom could have shot their bitch asses too. But that doesn't happen, unfortunately. Now this one's just kind of a goofy one, but it holds true. And I said this to you when we were watching the movie. How in the fuck, because I have been back on the workout and dieting train, and how in the fuck did Tom stay so jacked for 5 fucking years eating canned goods, and like there was little to no food? As far as I know, there was no Bowflex or nothing in the house that he could have been using, but he stayed swole as shit through the whole movie. Now, Sandra Bullock, she changes, her hair gets longer and this kind of shit, but his hairline is still crisp and fresh. Yep. He still got waves in his hair and shit. He's swollen, motherfucker. And I'm like, you know, Tom, you are aging incredibly well, you know, all things considered. But yeah, I mean, overall, like we said, we really enjoyed the movie. I can't imagine they would make another one, because it's like, well, what would it even be about?
Yeah,
like
it'd have to be totally different people.
Yeah, and like I said, it would have to be, you know, the story of Felix and Lucy and shit. And honestly, I would be kind of worried if they did make a sequel, because if they did, then they would try to explain too much, and it would kind of lose its mystery. Because it does frustrate me that you don't know more about him, but I pretty much am going with Charlie's logic and what his explanation is and just going with that. And it's just like, yeah, it's just fucking Armageddon and these are demons and yeah, we're being judged and God's coming and it's just fucking, it's like Left Behind. Pretty much, just minus the you disappearing and you just kill yourself instead. So yeah, sorry Sandra Bullock that I talked shit about you. You were actually very, very good in this movie. I did find it funny the amount of people who didn't know who she was.
She is.
And they're like, Sandra Bullock's been in movies for like 30 some odd years.
Yeah.
Like, she's not some new actress. Like, she was just in a movie a few years ago, Gravity, which I think she won an Oscar for Gravity.
I think so.
Because they're all like Academy Award winner, Sandra Bullock. And I was like, yeah, she just won that like 3 years ago, but whatever. Yeah, no, I would say Well, if you're this far into it, if you haven't watched it,
go
spoiled
watch
the whole fucking movie for you. But I would say definitely check it out. But anyway, thanks for sitting here and listening to us drone on about Bird Box. I've been liking our little Netflix reviews that we've been doing. So in the future, I mean, we'll probably do more. Thanks again, kids, for enjoying and joining us. They was like, I didn't enjoy this motherfucker. No, for joining us in our little review of Bird Box, and we will see you guys next time. All right, so that is it for the show. Now, Benoit, before we go, tell the people where they can find you.
You can find me at a couple of places. You can find me on Twitter at twitter.com/Benoit Gaming. That's BenwahGaming. I just now realized that's 12 letters. I can say that really smoothly. Also, if you want to see me play random video games throughout the year 2019, twitch.tv/Benoit, spelled the same way phonetically.
All right, and as always, you can find us at our home, onegiantleapforgeeks.libsyn.com. We are on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play Music, or anywhere else you get your podcast. Make sure to show us some love, so go ahead and hit that like, subscribe, rate, follow, review, and all that shit.
And if you have any comments, questions, concerns, criticisms, you just want to say hi, you want to send us a question, any of those, you can do it by email, and you can email us at officialodlc@gmail.com. You can also find us on Twitter at GiantLeap4Geeks. We're on Reddit, Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram. All you have to do is look for One Giant Leap for Geeks. All right, you guys have a good night. Bye.